Hey, good evening, everybody. Sun and Moon here on the 21st of the 11th, 2017. And so far on the
Is it on?
panel, we're on. We have Marlena from Canada. We have Cat's Eyes from America.
Okay.
And we have Dojo. And where are you, Dojo?
I'm from California, America.
Cool. California, America. And what it is I picked the subject the ego because I was on a hangout with Dojo and I really liked a lot of the things that he said. So I'm going to go over to you in a second. But that day we were talking about the ego and it was about kind of making people responsible for themselves and their ego. That's what we were talking about, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So expand a bit what you're into.
Well, here in California. What I'm into is I'm into taming the ego. I'm into showing adolescents as well as some grown folks how to live with their ego. You know what I mean? Some people have the perspective that the ego can be done away with, and some have the ideology that the ego can be controlled. Mine is just allowing people to experience myself and watch me as I evolve and controlling my ego. Sometimes it gets the best of me. I'm sure some of you might agree. So basically, what Dojo Time is pardon my French, but Dojo Time is taking niggas and turning them into little ninjas, basically teaching them conduct behavior. And when I say niggas, I don't mean it in a harsh way. I mean it as in what the term means today. The term means today more of a thug. The term is more of a thuggish term. It's more of a thuggish ideology. It's more of a it doesn't the word doesn't derive from a nationality or maybe even some hardship that a race endured in the past. The word has become an attitude. The word has become a personality. We find a lot of different people act in this same type that I call that word. And that's what Dojo Time is. Dojo Time is to let them people know that through experience I got here today through what I display as in controlling my ego. And by doing so, it's allowing the youth to understand that they have an option now. It doesn't always have to be guns, tattoos, a fistful of money, a bag full of drugs and a couple of honeys. It doesn't have to always be that. If some of us don't start to reflect that other option or that other choice, then we're all doomed. I yield the floor.
Oh, I was listening. Carry on. I was well into listening to you talk then.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to.
No, that's
It's
okay.
all
I called
about
it
you, Dojo. It's all
Dojo
about you.
Time, the ego. So it's okay. It's that's the subject I picked tonight to talk about. And more responsible for yourself is a good one I mentioned, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. It took a long time. I'm 40 years old. I was raised in. My mom had me when she was 15. I was raised in like 22 different apartment complexes, and so I've been here and there. And so the hardship that I speak of in my reality is not all gang infested. It's more hardship than anything. I mean, parvished. You know what I'm saying? In a sense of um parvished in a way of you make what you have, you make good of what you got type of parvish. And so I'm 40, and you know what I'm saying, but I feel good. I've learned to adjust how to live according to my ego, and I got healthier, should I say. I started to look younger, instead of just start to degenerate. When the brain, okay, in dojo what we teach is that the we teach that neuro, which is the brain. Okay, neuroplasticity is something that can be expanded. And so we don't lose hope in those people who seem too arrogant or too egotistic, because we know sometimes it takes to unlearn to relearn. And a lot of a lot of thugs or a lot of people in the streets, they have no choice but to adapt. And so I explained that intelligence is adaptation. no matter what, you're going to adapt to your surroundings in order to sustain yourself. So Dojo Time is about adaptation and teaching the little ones to have another option than just to take what don't belong to them.
Thinking, right, Dojo?
It's positive thinking, but it's so calloused. The positive, see, some will say it took a long time for some people to get to know me because I'm real calloused, and callous is just to let people know it's just the experience. Not saying that it's pride. It's not pride. It's not self-confidence like we were discussing prior. It's more of a calloused. Like I mentioned, my mom had me when she was 15. I'm 40 now, so I was raised like she was a sister. You know, my dad's a lifer in prison for murder, so he wasn't around. And so, like I'm mentioning, it's more dojo is more to take the bitter, and regardless if you have sweet or not, you just got to take the bitter and learn to accept the taste. You know what I'm saying? So that's what dojo is. That's what I'm about. That's what
Can I
we're
say
about.
two,
You know what I
can I say
found?
two things? Go on, Marlena. Go on, Marlena. You go, Marlena.
Okay.
She's
Also,
muted.
I was going to say was it's interesting the way that you said that now you even look younger.
Right. I mean, I
A lot of
it.
people don't realize when you're giving out. Oh yeah, definitely, and you do look young. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize when they're being mean,
Mhm.
their hearts and their mouths and their mind with a lot of negativity and a lot of hate spewing. It does start to show. You do
Yes.
feel sick. Stress makes you sick. Stress gives you cancer.
I agree.
You know, the most happiest people look wonderful because of money. They look wonderful because they feel wonderful, and they emit that beauty. They emit it even the way they talk. You know, when they don't have all this negativity running through their minds, like who am I going to hurt next? Because their ego
Right.
gets in the way, like we were talking about. Because it does.
Well, I was saying you need this ego to wake up. You know, like even into flat Earth, you need a part of your ego. You're saying, Dojo, unfortunately, there's this generational cycle thing going on. And this is about breaking it, isn't it? Because obviously it's to do with globe world and we're flat earthers. But people going to prison shouldn't be in prison, most of them, because they're not, they're emotional things that have happened rather than, and they've been sent to prison instead. So that bit's, I know that if you've killed someone, I suppose that's different, but a lot of people in prison is because of emotional home stuff that's going on. So you need a bit of an ego to wake up, but not that kind of ego.
Not that.
Yeah, a lot of people that deal with that too, with like how he's talking about with his father, and you know, a lot of people's parents that did something. A lot of people will carry that in themselves and have that poor me syndrome and expect that the world owes them everything.
I totally agree, especially with the poor me attitude. The poor me syndrome is something that plagues, you know what I mean, a lot of communities here in the state that I live in California. The poor me complex really it really hinders our elders. And when our elderly is not honored and respected for their wisdom, so it's kind of like I get that concept of, you know, don't cast your pearls to swine. I get that as in the pearls being our elders. You know, it takes a long time for somebody to become wise. But I also, like I mentioned yesterday, I also understand that, you know, I mean, the fool always thinks that they're the wise man, and the wise man knows himself to be fooled. And so, I mean, wisdom and knowledge is two different things to me at this point. I just want to, I guess the main mission is to, I don't know. Some people would say disarming the youth, especially in these type of environments, would be psyop. It would be, it would cause more harm than good. And so that's why I took the approach to quote unquote scholarly attack through information the school system of America. And the only reason I say that is because the school system is a system that has never been altered or changed nor modified in the United States since the Civil War. It has been overlooked, underlooked, and deprived. And we all know that most of the curricula in the school system has information that needs to be completed. It's incomplete. And once it's completed, then I think we all will understand more overly how the world, excuse me, how the plane should, how we should respect one another in in social society. That's just how I see it. And so by my approach is, it's harsh, it's dangerous, but it allows the child to fall back. If we decide to say enough with the school systems, then the parent in the household is subjected to change regardless. They would have to, no matter what, feed their child appropriately and educate their child appropriately with their neighbor appropriately. The school system here in America, there's too many handouts, and most of the handouts that are given to the school system here, they're really it's bad. It's the GMOs when it comes to the food. You know, I mean, sometimes even the fruits are just, it's really bad. And then the curricula is not sustaining the child, and that's the reason why when it comes to looking at the percentages of the status or the statistics of these individuals in these states that are taking these tests or going to these school systems, they're failing. The school systems are failing. They're not, if it's indoctrination, and some of us do believe the school system is to indoctrinate, they're doing a horrible job at indoctrinating. The only the see, Marlena, she kept intact the lineage, and that's another thing that dojo anticipates to display, is that you have to keep intact that lineage, because that lineage brings that morality that you don't have to be taught. It brings that essence that you don't have to be taught. And when Marlena was explaining it today, it really resonates. So I'm sitting here writing as she's explaining, and I'm really paraphrasing everything, because this is how the new curricula has to be. If we don't begin to identify family patterns for the future, then what we're really up against a dead end street. And so, not to be long winded, I feel that all children being not forced, but being
they are forced, aren't they? Really, because they don't know the truth.
Definitely subjected to
and they're
it.
never gonna get it when they see the way the brain works. When the brain is just a whole bunch of mechanisms, just a whole bunch of different parts, right? And then the science of addiction is the study of the brain. So that you just have a different parts. These parts does not, you're never going to find in any of these parts what we call mechanisms in the brain. You're not going to find the conscious. You're not going to find the soul. You're not going to find the spirit. You're not going to be able to pinpoint these things. Those three things has something to do with the creator, and that's just pretty much it. But the brain itself, if we decided to say, let's dissect the skull and look at the brain, you're going to see it's in sections. These mechanisms, they conform in a way for that person to become addicted to these life patterns. And then they'll tell you that, oh, well, everything is hereditary. But it's quite strange when the doctor tells you that these are hereditary. They only tell you that the bad things are hereditary. They never tell you the good things about your ancestors that are hereditary. So some of us are living ancestors as we speak, hereditary. You know what I mean? And not just following cancer, hereditary. You know, there's positive things and everything. And so
you can change yourself if you want to.
You can change. People feel, I mean, be real with you. I mean, I know some guys, such as myself, our faces used to look real mean. You know what I'm saying? And with that meanness, you know, I mean, even our skin complexion was more of a gray. You know what I mean? It was more of like a not like a zombie gray, but more. You can just tell that we really didn't care about caring. You know what I'm saying? And that's what dojo is. It's just, I don't like to talk about it too vividly, because then people think I'm trying to act all hard, and it's not acting hard. It's just that, I mean, I don't need to go look at the Vietnam Wall to see all the names of fallen people. I can really write the names of people that I've watched bleed in the street on my back in tattoo ink. You know what I'm saying? I know this is something far-fetched, because I'm just explaining my reality, and I know it's different in everybody else's. But here in mine, you don't get a second chance. You don't get to make those certain mistakes that some of us are making on the social media platforms. You don't get to hurt somebody's feelings and then express it in a I don't give a damn way, because in reality, realities collide, and that's where ego comes to life. I yield the floor.
Oh, no, that was brilliant. Thank you. It's just quite a lot of this nasty ego going around the moment, and the flat earth or has been just really nasty stuff. And I didn't think that's what being a flat earther was all about myself. If you wake up, most people are connecting spiritually somehow, and so that is a different vibration. But we're all taught the globe way, and they've got to get rid of the globe. They're still living with the globe, even though they say they're flat earthers. That's what I think. It's a process, isn't it?
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult process because different we all face different environments. I say environments, but I mean sections, locations, communities, residential areas. All who we decide to spend our time with is who we end up becoming in a certain fashion, should I say? Not all the way, but here it's hard for me to explain what I live through every day to someone in a different state, let alone in someone in a different country. Only thing that we both can understand is what good is and what bad is, and what hate is and what love is. And so those are the frequencies we decide to say we're going to use in order for us to all get along and understand. I mean, I know some of us have heavy accents. I might have one to some of you, but one thing I understand, we all know frequencies, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for being here. But dojo is where all the egos come before they decide to say they want to clip their wings and begin to walk again.
I think that also it happens if you know who you are as a person.
Right.
I mean, we don't all quite know what we're doing here. It's a specific thing. What are we really in this game? It's like a game. But I mean, once this flat earth kicked in, for me, with knowing what I knew and being sensitive, it all made sense. It gave me peace. It gave me more peace in my heart. Peace in myself. But you have to work yourself out first. Nothing will come unless you know who you are.
Yeah. Okay. Flat Earth gave me my why back. I've never had a why before. I wouldn't question anything. You know what I mean? That's why when the concept was, when I had a chance to actually go for the debunk myself, you know what I mean? I came from a heliocentric background. I studied dark physics real heavy from the heliocentric background because the dark physics was a model and a subject that they had coined themselves that was unknown. And by me targeting the dark physics area allowed me to do so without having to seek academia from any of their universities. And so they can't sit there and say, well, you can't study dark physics because according to this or according to this theoretically or this or that. They couldn't do that because they said themselves that they didn't know what dark physics was and they were studying it themselves. So I say, okay, this is my chance to study something that, quote unquote, these scientists, these heavy scientists studied. And so when I got involved with Dreads, he became a flat earther before I did. And he just did a live stream all of a sudden with the flat earth concept. And I've never heard of it before. I never heard of Brother Sanchez. I never heard of anything before. And Dread said I just did a live stream with that on there. And I went in there and sure enough, I was just in a line with everyone else. He ended up cutting my head off because I thought I knew so much about dark physics that the heliocentric model was like kindergarten for me. I was like, I know this by the back of my hand. I can sleep the heliocentric model. And so when Dreads did that, right, of course I was like, and so I got off and I said, let me look into this. And so I started looking, remind yourself, I know a lot about the dark physics model. You know what I mean? The dark physics model is darkness must expand before light in order for light to follow the rule that it must expand. So light travels, and the rule of light, meaning that it will not bend a corner unless the light hits an object. So we know light travels at the speed of light, but in order for the speed of light to travel, darkness would have to be expanding. And now when we understand those two concepts in that dark physics model, it allows us to understand what supermassive black holes do. It allows us to understand what ether is. It allows us to understand other things. Anyhow, Dreads was like, okay, he put all that to bed. Okay, so he chopped my head off. It grew back like, like real scholars' heads do, and it was really easy for me to wake up to the flat Earth model, because it's like everything I thought that was real, was true, and the globe model was totally like it was like a light switch. It was like, oh my God, I never decided to even question it. I just compiled all the information. And so when it flipped for me in February. When my mind flipped in February, instead of just doing away with all the information I had compiled throughout the years, studying because I'm a sidewalk scholar. I study a lot on my own. I do hold a bachelor's though in cognitive, pretty much in social science and cognitive behavior. That's the reason why I'm able to do what I'm
Wow.
able, and so,
Well, I like the way that you were talking about this, because this ego thing is such a problem today, and we've been taught
yes,
all wrong about how to use our ego, and ego just seems to be arrogance and ignorance.
right. It could be, it could, at the wrong time. Ego
Yeah.
can serve you well when it's like I was mentioning, tolerance and ego. When you blend tolerance and ego together, you're able to acknowledge and withstand society. There's some people out there, you're just gonna, there's people who get crazy over road rage. There's inconsiderate people who cut you off in the grocery store. There's certain things that cause the ego for certain people like myself to just snap, right? And then we can go ahead and collapse everybody and destroy everybody's realities. Some of us is going to jail and some of us might end up dead, you know, just over the fact of not acknowledging tolerance. And so ego is, like I said, ego has saved my life before, and ego has destroyed lives, and I've witnessed it. And that's just my aim. My aim is to teach people not to cage the ego, because when you find out you have to accept correction, like I was mentioning before, you can become egotistic. You can get very angry. Anger and egos is
Do
the
you
kin.
think that most people have learned only to express one feeling, and that's usually anger? I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying the majority now are only experiencing one emotion, and it's anger, and it just comes out.
Yeah, because people don't want to admit that they're wrong, and especially if they've been taught a certain way. Like, he went to university. I have also went to university, and now if you're getting to a point where you're telling somebody, all these years, what you seem to believe is wrong. You're telling that person they're wrong, and that's all they're taking from that, is that they're wrong. They're not taking into account the facts, the reason why these things aren't right, that they don't make sense. They're not looking at any of that. All they're thinking about is, this person just told me I'm wrong, and that hits their ego.
Yeah, we don't seem to want to learn. And I just like the way that in this conversation, Jojo was just saying basically we need this respect.
Yeah,
Respect
it
the
hurts the
ego.
ego. It hurts the ego to suffer. When the ego is up against suffering and doesn't understand that suffering is just a way of it's see, sufficiency is a lot when a person understands what sufficiency is. When Marlena was showing us her presentation today, and good job, Marlena, that was on the fly too. Can you imagine that? That was on the fly, live
Thank
streaming
you.
presentation. And you notice how everything was just sufficient. Everything did everything naturally. The fish went in naturally. They chose what they did naturally. You know what I mean? According to abundant fish, everything is sufficient. And it's just hard for the ego to say, I'm going to stay sufficient. It's a sweet tooth. People get, so they get this ego, they get angry because sometimes anger feels good. Um those of you who understand what I mean by sometimes anger feels good, it's kind of like saying that sometimes there's certain types of anger that is needed. And all anger doesn't have to be an anger of force. Some anger can be just a stern way of trying to get somebody to snap out of it or listen at the time that they're heading in the wrong direction. And so frustration can be confused for anger. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with a love, when you get frustrated and the anger comes out, but it's not real anger. But then we have this ugly anger. Ugly doesn't have a description, just like pretty. It doesn't have a description. Beauty is what beauty is man-made. Nature didn't say this is beauty and this is ugly. Those are descriptions that we put on things that's caused us to stray. Um, ego is deep. Ego is a deep concept because you would have to get everybody's perspective from where they live at that present moment. You can tell me some things right now, ladies, that I can feel genuinely. I can resonate with me, make me feel real good, and then right when we end this, I can be turned back to being upset due to somebody's arrogance.
Just by words.
So, yeah, just by words.
Did mention this earlier on. You treat people as you wish to be treated, or what you give out comes back.
That's right.
So
that's just the environment as well, though. I mean, honestly, that's still subjected to the social environment that you're being brought up in. I mean, I treat people with no intentions of them treating me any fashion or any way back, because for many reasons, many times I want to treat people good, even bad people. I would like to treat good, and no matter what, they just take and take. And it's like, I don't want
vampires.
To,
vampires.
Emotional vampires, for sure. You know, we always tell our children, and, you know, my mother always made sure since we were very young that no matter where you are, you be kind to people, because we don't know if we're the only ones that were kind to them that day.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that will change somebody for their day. You know, we don't know if they just got slapped around by their husband or wife or whatever. We don't know if, you know, they just had a really bad day at work. You know, we don't know this stuff. But we do know what we know when we come in contact with any person. So when you walk by somebody and they're, you know, be kind, smile back, whatever. Or, you know, with me, it's a habit now I have of paying for the coffee for the person behind me. Because you don't know if that's the first time someone's even been kind to them. Because people come from very different, like he said, different very households, different lifestyles. But one thing that we all do know for sure is love and kindness.
Yes.
For sure. You know? So how was your day? Like, say if you're teaching.
Got to teach each other again then, basically, as a whole.
Mm-hmm. So when you're teaching.
One thing. What does the Micmac tribe teach about ego? Just asking.
Well, it's, you don't let it get in the way of living. If somebody's giving you something or trying to teach you something and you were taught a separate way, say, we don't have that getting mad at somebody because you're taught wrong. Patience is the biggest thing that we're taught here, is to be patient. You know, patience does solve a lot of things. If you sit back and listen to what someone has to say instead of jumping on every word they're saying because you don't agree, there is always something in somebody's conversation that you will agree with. But you have to try to step back and look at why they're thinking or saying the way they're saying something, you know. But patience and kindness is a really big thing. The ego, it goes right out the window. If somebody is very egotistical, we have them come into our circle. Like we said, we have our talking circles. And so what we do is we hand over the talking stick. So when it gets to certain people, say if this person was doing that egotistical, I'm better than you are crap, we're all equal in this circle. So when it comes to my turn to talk, and this person had, you know, it takes a lot of patience to sit there and let somebody talk, especially when they're talking about you. Because our automatic thing that we do is you want to jump right in there and say, no, I didn't, or yes, I did, or you know what I mean, one of those things. So learning patience means a lot. So say I'm holding the talking stick and I tell that person, you know, a certain thing that happened, the way you reacted really hurt my feelings. And you have to say everything. And that person still can't talk. So you can imagine how hard that is. But that breaks somebody's hard ego. Not the good ego that helps you through life. The hard ego that makes you think you're right and everybody's wrong. That ego gets broken very easily by making you have patience. You know what I mean, Karen? And then when this talking stick gets to that person, then they can talk. And usually by the time it gets to them, they understand why they've been doing that. Like, what was their trigger? Every time that, you know, like explaining things. Like he was talking about, which I thought was great, when he was just talking about he didn't know anything really about flat Earth at all until he seen Dredd, and Dredd said da da da, and then he went and he did his own investigation. But he had that anger first. He had that I'm right, you're wrong anger first, only because of he now it was like he had this wall built up, and somebody came and started chiseling away at that wall that he learned. So it was up to him to push that down and say, hell with it, I got to learn this stuff, I got to look into it. But you know what that took him to do that? It took him patience. And he took patience and sat there and learned this, relearned for himself all this stuff. Was that too long?
No, that was perfect. Oh no, we're here to chat. Carry on. Carry on. Go for it, Dojo.
Oh, yeah, go Dojo.
Yeah, that was said like you've spoken real well. Yeah, patience is, some say it's virtue, but patience, yeah. Some of these words are meant for us or for you. You like when I teach my children about respect, that respect stems from self-respect first. So it basically, when you respect someone and their things, you're really respecting yourself, you know what I'm saying, first. And so, because it's hard for somebody to, it's just real hard for the respect thing out here it's real, it's a dire need in California. Respect is a dire need. It's more difficult, and you know, and I'm not going to be hard on any of the single parenting, but single parent households, it's divisive. It's divisive. It was caused in order to break up the household, you know, the families. And some would tell you that breaking up families was started, the African American or the Black communities were targeted first, or it doesn't matter who was targeted first. It doesn't matter that they're even targeting the communities. What matters is how important you keep your how important the bondage is, the culture. You know what I mean? Like Marlena's referring to today. Like in my family, it's a family of 5. I got, we're a small family. I mean, but my intermediate family of 5, my 3 other children, I assigned us our culture. I assigned us what traditions we decide to say that we're going to live by and what's going to be carried on and passed through. I decided to have a hand in my daughter's future as to who they marry. Not like Saudi Arabia style, not like that, but in fashions to way. Who's to say that who's to say that a woman has to take the husband's last name? In my family, my daughter's husbands will become Alexanders. So my daughters won't be taking the last name. If anything, it'll be branched. But
that's right.
There's just things that I do in my family, or should I say, how I'm raising my children, and that it's gonna help me.
And you have every right. Yeah, you have every right to, as the patriarch of your family. You have every right to do that. Just like our chief here, he has the right to, teach us certain values, because it is a valuable thing.
Yeah. And like we all know that all humans are carbon. Like we're carbon based. Everything is carbon based material. Like I was mentioning earlier, I grow my locks in regards. My son is an engineer, but he's an engineer for the future. And anyone who knows about technology, they know that the prongs that are made of gold on all the I/O cards, or anything that conducts the energy for computing, they look for something that's really heat conducive. And so one thing that they did find was diamonds. Diamonds don't conduct heat, but yet they can transmit. And so it's a far-fetched will, but in my will, when you die, they can take your cremation, your ashes, and they can convert those into they can extract the carbon out of your cremation and makes like fake diamonds, synthetic diamonds. So they say.
Well,
this is allegedly. And my hair would make like 5 or 6 of them. My body would make like 4 or 5. And now the reason I'm doing that is because if I got about 30 more years left, 2040, 2045, give or take, my son decides to become this Jimmy Neutron type of engineer, he can use those synthetic diamonds and possibly make a dimension phone. I am a high believer that eventually we'll have phones that will allow us to speak to our past loved ones through frequencies called the dimension phones. I just think that it's just being ushered.
You know what? I totally agree. But you know what? You could do that right now. The more you decalcify your pineal gland, which is your phone, your internal phone, it was calcified by, all of these crap being put into our food or water, whatever. That's why there's such a big deal on get the fluoride out of the water. There's some countries that don't allow fluoride in their water. And if you notice these certain places that these people ride, these people are very spiritual. These people do the talking to, people, and I totally agree with you. And I think it's going to be sooner than, and us teaching our children here, and we've always been taught this way over thousands of years, to do this stuff. It is interdimensional speaking. A lot of people only do one way because they don't take care of themselves enough to be able to reach that certain plateau. Praying to your creator, praying to God, that's a one-way thing, but there's a two-way thing that goes on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to butt in.
No, keep going. It's brilliant talk. But does Cat Eyes want to say anything?
Hi, Fiona.
Well, I really, going back to patience and respect, sometimes people, especially the society it is now, there is no respect. There's no one has patience. And it's sad because I will say for myself, the government has in the United States, I'm pretty sure Dojo will agree, when we used to, our parents or grandparents really, when they used to hit our children, their children, and I say for myself being young, to get them straight, you can say. And now when the government passed that law that you can't hit your child, you end up getting report. This is where all the chaos is coming from too, because these children, they know that if a parent hit them, spank them, whatever, they can go to the school and say, well, my parents hit me. And, that's where it started. There's no respect. They don't have patience anymore. The parents don't have it because of the society that we live in right now. And a lot of it has to do with that, passing that law that if a child gets hit, you get in trouble. The parents do. And the children know that. And so what they do, they keep doing it, and it's a circle that it's going to keep going because of the society. That's the way I see it. I see children that don't respect their parents. And of course, the parents know they can't hit their child, which is.
I gotta say something about that though, real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
It's the way it's the way the parent is bringing up their child. I never beat my children. I wasn't beat. We don't beat our children here. We don't hit them because you're teaching your child violence. You're teaching your child it's okay to hit somebody else if you don't agree with what they're doing. That's what you're teaching. So now these children are disrespectful to their parents. It's because their parents aren't parenting their children. They're not teaching them at home. What they're doing is they're sending their children out to schools and stuff like that. And then they come home, they feed them and put them to bed. This is how it is. They don't have any interaction with their children. A lot of parents aren't even taking their time to even spend weekends with their kids. They send them off, say, to their grandparents or to their aunts, or send them off to these, whatever group they have them in. And they're not doing proper parenting. You know what I mean? Like this, where you spend time with your child out of teaching your child how to be kind to each other and be nice to each other and do this instead of this.
It's not kind of ego stuff, but do you think that's because the parents haven't been taught either?
But it is kind of an ego, right? Because you get these angry little kids that are going around being mean and disrespectful. And like she said, they go to school and say, yeah, my parent hit me, knowing that they're going to get their parent in trouble. To me, that's an ego problem.
Yeah.
But that child has to be like not physically hit, but knocked down a few notches in their head that it's not right to disrespect your parent in that manner. You know what I mean? What do you think of that, Dojo, since you have a different way of that? Sorry, Kat, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Cool. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
But I agree.
Go ahead, Dojo.
That's great. She's got Cats is on the money. Those children who become adolescents, 18, 19, even in their 15, 16-year-old, they have this when they understand that when they understand that there's not going to be no disciplinary action. And I do agree, Marlena. I've never raised a hand nor use anything to physically touch my children. But because there's a way to, how do I say this without sounding crazy? There's a
Discipline.
yes,
Maybe.
but there's a way as an adult when see the innocence of a child. The way I explain it is using lambs. You know how they kind of like how they use it in the Bible. Because a lamb, a lamb doesn't have a defensive mechanism, meaning that if you come up on a lamb to slaughter it, it's just going to sit there and man, you know, it's not going to buck you, it's not going to bite you. It doesn't have a defensive mechanism. It's just fear overcomes the lamb totally in its totality. And the only thing else that I describe that has the similarities of that is a newborn child, whether if it's an animal newborn or a human newborn. When you come up on a newborn child, the newborn child doesn't have a defense mechanism, although the newborn does have this electromagnetic essence of being, I guess, just being here. That it has a, see, people didn't understand that these energies that we use to carry out, that's what all religions use to divide us from the spiritual world. Meaning that as us being in flesh, we can think it, we can think it, conjure the energy, and we can use the will to carry it out. And so, yeah, these children, and see, using the word children, you think, nah, so it's not. I do a lot of teaching as a substitute teaching, and I can tell you like this: out here in this area, from 3rd grade and up, it's already begun to, like what Cat's Eye says, because you can always do your observation on the actual teachers themselves, and I really recommend start with TK, with transitional kindergarten, and just do your own observation for your own research, and you can see why these teachers are so depressed and so up, because you have one teacher, one educator to one classroom that holds up to 15 to possibly 27, 28 different personalities that come from different environments, aka households, that are ran totally different 18 to 27 ways. And so they took away the substitute, they took away the class, you know, when the one who got the highest grades to help the teacher, they took away the sub teacher. They made it to where it's only one, and this goes all the way up to college. And so to bring it all together, see, Katz is right. When it comes to disciplining your child or your teenager, and you spare, I don't want to say spare the rod, you don't have to hit them. I've never hit my kids. This is how I'm going to say it. There's a way you can use fear to be healthy. We all know that's true. We don't have to threaten someone in order for that fear to be healthy. And we don't have to, whoop your ass for the fear to be healthy. There's ways that I can change my tone, and there's ways that I can give off this energy about myself, and my kids know he's not playing, And so there's a way you have to learn how to use the energy. The energy comes unbiased. We form the energy according to our conduct, whether if it's good or bad. There's no way around it. The ego is a part of everything I've discussed today. It's just the way you have to be able to use it. I don't want to say to your advantage, but to your acknowledgement that it can deteriorate your soul.
Can I say something? Can I say something that just pick a child, right? By about the age of 3, they've decided how they're going to run the rest of their life. And unfortunately, that's through everything they've seen and taken in as that little toddler. And it's how it's made them feel. And somewhere in there, where we are as adults, we should be like, I'm okay, you're okay. But when they're little like that, something happens like, I'm not okay, you're okay, or you're not okay, and I'm okay, or I'm not okay and you're not okay. Now, if that child grows up to an adult with this not okay thing happening, then that's not going to help the ego, is it? It just isn't. Because someone's always going to not be okay. And so they're always going to, from their ego, look at it like that rather than, I'm okay, you're okay. A lot of this happens when we're children. But you can change it.
Wouldn't they think it's normal like that growing up? I mean, I'm okay. And when you're an adult or even a teenager, they're going to say, I'm okay, because they're going to think it's normal. to them.
Yeah. If it's the wrong, okay. Yeah.
There are different types so you have this term that's called egocentrism, and you have another term that's called ethnocentrism. They both describe someone coming from a child growing up to become an adult. And the way you describe it as an example is that I can ask Cat's Eyes a question right now, and I can ask her that same question maybe 15, 20 years from now, and she'll have a different answer for that question. So if you ask a child, whether it's 5, 7, 9, or 12 years old, some of these primal questions that you would ask an adult, and they gave you their honest answers, and you ask that same child those same questions when they turn maybe 5, 10 years later, and then 5, 10 years later, you're going to keep getting different answers as that child ages, because age is an acronym, and an acronym of age stands for Advanced Glycation End Product. Okay, it's when oxygen begins to deprive itself in the body, and then your mitochondria begins to die. You begin to age. You begin to wrinkle. And see, knowledge. We always taught that knowledge is power, but knowledge is the power of aging. When we begin to lose our innocence as children, it's only because we become conscious of our awareness of our surroundings. We begin to learn. We begin to understand what do's and don'ts are. We begin to be, I guess, naturally indoctrinated by our parents in order for us to sustain ourselves, as toddlers. But we can't base anything on asking a child a question that you would ask an adult, because their answer will always the answer will be different as the child ages, because the child hasn't experienced what knowledge is. Knowledge and innocence comes together and it makes wisdom, but it also takes away the innocence. The innocence gets overshadowed by knowledge. There's sometimes I wish I could just start over and just wish I didn't know nothing. Some of you probably telling yourself, damn, this dude talked with these words. There's 2 ways I've learned words. One, because I cussed a lot. I told myself, you know what, damn it, every cuss word, I'm going to learn a new big word. And so throughout the years, every time I said a cuss word, I would grab the dictionary and learn a big word to substitute it. And so every time you hear a big word, I really want to start cussing. You know what I mean? And I'm a bibliophile. A bibliophile. If you look up the word bibliophile, meaning just somebody who loves to read books. I understand a lot of people was like, oh, down with the books, burn the books and all that. It's just something in me that just have this infatuation with reading. I'm enchanted with reading. Okay. And so I can't read if I'm reading and I see a word that I don't understand and think that I can just skim over that word and keep reading. I won't understand shit that comes after that word because I never understood that word. So I have to know the definition of each word and the meaning in order for me to read fluently. And
that's right. We have that here too. We call it the the undefined word. And you're right, you don't learn. And it's very easy for people, if you watch your child reading and they start to yawn, that's the implication that there's one of those words in that sentence that they didn't understand. And it happens every time. So you go over that, like he said. We do the same thing here. You keep a dictionary by your book, and anytime, it doesn't even matter what the word is. You wouldn't even believe the words that you don't even realize you don't know the definition of.
Right, but I can honestly admit though the experience compared to the information, because like we teach in dojo that information is just knowledge, or knowledge is organic because it's in the mind and it's knowledge. But when you take knowledge and put it into technology, into databases, into folders and all that, it becomes information. It becomes, what I'm saying, what it is. And so the way Marlena has displayed today, once again, is that experience through that cultural experience has yet and still reigned more important in the household, let alone the future of people's lineages, is the cultural experience. Let the grass, go between your toes. Here in America, especially California, this is the concrete jungle. There's so much cement everywhere, freeways, concrete. It's really like, Thor. It's like that one cartoon. There's no really not too many trees. So the way Marlena displayed it today is, that's where the essence is. The essence of nature is being with nature and not being against it. I yield the floor.
Oh, yeah, you said that really nicely, Dojo. I like that. Someone, Sean G, like
Thank you.
that. And very nicely as well, Marlena. But we're jealous of Marlena because Marlena's had all these ways from a child, and we're having to sort of learn them again as adults and see it all differently now. Whereas Marlena's had it from birth.
Thank you, Karen. So what is a day like? Say if one of your students, how do you do a day in your dojo? It's very interesting to me how you're teaching your students or
As of this entire year, I've been figuring out, because I'm a part of a small community that I live in. I'm a community activist. Where I live in my small town, I wasn't born and raised here, but I brought what I needed that was necessary in order for me to say I can keep where I'm at now. I can teach it the good things and not bring the gray clouds from where I came from. And so now that I'm here, and this is more of a kind of on the outskirts, you know what I mean? But I'm already a part of my community here. I'm already a part of my county here. I'm already well known by certain people who has streets named after them. And so all this year with this flat earth information and me refreshing my thoughts with what I need to know in order to say that, okay, I can scholarly offend or defend with flat earth information. Flat earth does have a way you have to present it if and when you have to present it to a globalist or somebody who is actually a prospective listener. So what I do is what I do is just use all my experiences in my community. So everybody around me in my community know who I am, how I get down, what I've been through, and what my motivation is. And so what I've been trying to do all this year was to bring I've been trying to bring my real life, my reality, social life with my community. I've been trying to merge it with Professor Frequency, with Pro Freak, and this flat earth new mentality. And it's been so many different conflictions that it's hard to do. The reason why I say that is I really wanted to come on this channel today with my new account. Those who listen to me now will have a chance to go and view my videos on my account, and they'll see the transition and that I'm going through. I mean, some of my old videos are really tyranny. They're really cruel. And I don't want my community, should I say, that I support with everything I give, to see that. I don't want them to say, actually, I didn't bring that to the community, and I'm ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of the fact that I had to act egotistically in order to get some footing in flat earth, but I did it to gain my ground. We all don't live in the same realities, and when flat earth awakened me, it's not like I can start, teaching my community, hey, this is flat earth. It sounds like I can just leave it up to them, but it's not the same. And so what I decided to do was just start fresh as of 2018 and bring my community on board with a whole new fresh account. I really wanted to use this platform to usher in that new account. I'm doing my best not to cuss. Some say just be yourself, but conduct is what we hold up as a principle in dojo. I
want to give you a big flat earth hug.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to meet you, Karen. Yeah, I am.
That's great.
The thing is,
I'm really proud of you.
Sometimes though, when you actually need to
answer
tell
your
the
question,
truth.
and to conclude your question, Marlena, because I know I just started to ramble. I have a program called the Young Scholars Program, and what I already do is I take single parent households or broken households who don't attend to their children in the appropriate way, and I teach them small curricula to exert them in the curriculum that they're having in their classroom. And so, and I have documentation of this. I have statistics of this. I got, so what I'm saying is I'm still combating the teaching system, but I'm doing it one student at a time. So when they say that no student left behind, I'm the true standard and the true model of that. They decided to leave them behind. I'm doing the best I can to teach each individual child to learn according to what they find interesting. And it's really against the board's curricula, but at the same time, the students are learning. They're learning faster than learning this new core, common core curricula that they have out. And so it's, you know, I'm funny with the children. The children loves Professor Frequency. I turn them into young scholars. I've been doing it for the last 4 years. Like I mentioned when I got on, I have a bachelor's in cognitive behavior. So I'm able to read the frequency of a child, right? And I'm able to discern what background and home they come from and what type of assessment needs to be displayed to the teacher in order to get through to this child, because the attention span of the children is so short fused that they're not picking up anything in the curriculum anyhow. And so that's what I do. As for a living, that's what I do until I pass away.
Oh, I actually really love that you like said that you can like the children's frequency. Oh, that's lovely. We don't talk about those things very often. Well, people don't think about these things very often. But you know what you were saying? Maybe you had to be a bit blunt because the truth, people don't like the truth often, do they? You know, if they've been mistold, and when the truth comes along, they don't like it. And then when you've got to stand up for yourself, sometimes you've got to be a bit forceful because people don't listen to you unless you've got something good to say.
Or they can, or it's in the benefit of them hearing. Some would say that there is no truth until they decide what truth is, and I'm guilty for saying that at some moments in my life, that I didn't believe in truth, that there was no such thing as truth until I decide to observe and say what truth actually is. And there is a truth out there, regardless if I haven't stumbled across all of it yet. You know what I mean? Some would say that, you know, oh, Pro Freak, he goes a little too far with the science. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my way of relieving my aggression with the Creator. I'm the type of person to have a lot of aggression with the Creator, because when you begin to, I'm sorry, it was someone.
Are you there? Hello, Flat Earth calling Dojo. I think someone's called him or something. It knocks it out on my phone. Well, I wanted to ask him how many children he has. He's gone for a moment, but I say when someone calls me on my phone, it knocks my Hangouts out. Cat's Eyes, did you want to say something?
About what he was just saying?
Yeah, or your thoughts?
Oh, gosh. Well, my thoughts that he was speaking about, gosh. To be honest, I don't have too much to say. The only thing I can say is that the experiences that we go through, and if you see a child almost going through what you went through as a child, for my experience, if I see someone going through what I went through, I will give them advice. I will direct it to them, because I don't want them to go growing up feeling the same way I felt. You know, it took me a hard time to heal inside what I've been through, but by the grace of God. And if I see a child that, you know, going the same through, because a lot of times the child, like I was always quiet. I never spoke like I do now. I'm very shy, for one. And I never went to my parents to tell them what was going on. And I feel that some of the children that I've seen, the same reactions, the same kind of ways of eating habits, sleeping habits, and, you know, what I've been through, I give them advice, because I know that sometimes they can't speak to their parents because the parents don't understand what their own child's going through. And it's hard to tell your parents because you're scared that they might, you know, say something to you. But as I'm an adult, I see it. I see it a lot in the school system and some of the kids, because I go there and see some kids that I know. And I see the same reactions that they're going through. And our experiences is to help those that you went through, to help those. spiritually. That's me. Giving them advice spiritual because they need it. And uh, that's how I feel always, to help others the same way that you've been through. Those are experiences. You could speak and tell people, this is what I went through, and give them advice, and what I went through, how I got out of it, and stuff like that. I mean, there's so many ways to help a child. And like he said, there's always a child left behind. And there's many. But, that's why as adults, we need to be there for those children that are coming into this world, and the children are growing up right now. If everyone takes a little time of their busy day, and you help a child, that's a big thing. Like Pancho, he goes out and does balloons and puts a smile on their face. Things like that we need to do for the children that are coming for, in the future. And a lot of times the way the society is, none of us are, they're not there for those children that needs a hug, that needs a smile, that needs, a lot of attention, and a lot of time these children, they do they get upset. They're trying to get their parents' attention, and they don't pay attention. So the more you don't pay attention, their action starts to change a little. They're doing things like, for instance, having a fit, throwing stuff all over to get their attention. And then sometimes the parents will say, well, what's wrong with you? Well, he's trying to get your attention. Something's probably wrong with him or her, or they just need a hug or a kiss, or you know what I'm saying? And a lot of time as an adult, we have to be there for those children. And this is why I always tell Pancho, my heart is for the children. And they're the ones that are coming, the next generation. And we need to show them, love and tender. And a lot of times they don't get it, especially these children that don't have parents. They're in adoption homes, or, those ones that they take care of, and they don't have that loving, tender care in their lives. And I think, like I said, as an adult, we should be there for them. It doesn't matter who they are. If you know them, or if you don't know them, just be there for as a child. Like I told Pancho, he's God bless him what he does, and that's his gift to give to the children. And I have always talked about the children. My heart goes out to every single one because of what I've been through as well. I think I'm talking too much about me, but
no, you're not. You're doing great.
But,
and what's wonderful about what you do is what you're teaching those children, they're going to teach other people and other children when they're a little older, or if not now, they will teach what you're teaching them. And it's very important. You're teaching them a different way of dealing with something.
And they have healthy egos.
mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's why I tell Pancho, hey, keep up the good work. And see, I told him in his panel, maybe some of them in the chat already heard, and I'm going to say, the way I am. It hurts me so much about these hospitals that have these children with cancer and all that. I feel in my spirit that they're using them as an experiment on them, because they have cancer and all that stuff, chemo and all. And a lot of times, to me, they're being used in a way that I get upset. I really do, but it's not upset like I'm angry. I'm upset what they're doing to these children. And I was telling Pancho, I said, I would love soon, hopefully soon, go to St. Jude's. I don't know which the one's close to me, and just give them the love and tender care, because really they do need it, and the parents. But we all have to be there for these children. It doesn't matter who they are. Honestly, it doesn't matter. God puts these children in your path for a reason. And until you understand God's, our creator, what he wants you to do, for, just give them love. That's me. Give them love, care, and a smile, and hug them and say, there's people out there that care for you. Or there's our creator loves you, because a lot of times no one tells them that. You know, that's the way I see it. You know, I see it now, and these kids have sad faces, and they're single out, you know, they're distanced away, like I was. You know, I was distant away from children because, you know, that was me, and I'm still in the same way. But giving loving, tender care to these children that are coming to this world now, even being born, we all have to give them loving, you know, we have to care for these children, and that no harm comes to them. But unfortunately, it does, you know, because parents or people that are evil out there in the world, they harm these children. And it's not just, you know, it's all the way, mental, emotion, physical, you know, you name it, it's all that. And these children grow up feeling the same way, and they teach other children, you know, their children the same way. It's like, how can I explain? It's like
yeah, then they're the next generation of adults doing it.
Exactly. And then they do it to their, you know, it goes on. It keeps going. And the only way to stop it is by confronting the issue. Spiritual is the most important thing. You know, you cut the string off that it won't go to the next generation. That's how I train myself to do, you know, to cut that string, not to go to other generations of your children or their children. Because if you don't, the cycle keeps going. You know, but like I said, I love children with all my heart. You know, I was watching way back because I don't watch TV, but when I started to watch TV, well, I'm sorry, let's reverse that. I don't watch TV, but when I was watching TV, I used to see the commercials or the news saying that this child was abused, this child was killed. My heart weeps, you know, seeing that. And it's because what I've been through. And also because these parents don't care, you know, and I care. I think if just one person like me, and I pray for them, that's all you need. You know, God will hear those prayers. And we all need to, it's like flat earth. We all have to get together as unity. We all have to get together as a unity for these children. That's the way I see it, because they're the next generation that are, the way the world is, they're the ones that are going to suffer.
The one thing I've noticed with psychology is that if parents have had things done to them as children, they usually do it to their children, and they take back from their children what's happened to them. That's usually what happens.
Yeah. And I say for experience. I mean, I wish somebody was there for me, and nobody was there.
But
I had to learn the
you're there
hard
for
way.
other children, aren't you? That's really lovely, Kat.
I had to learn the hard way because, like I said, I was always by myself, and you know, as little, very little, and I still am. You know, I'm the type that, you know, I'm by myself. I don't like to how do you react to other people. But when it comes to children, I react with them. I talk to them, and you know, because that's me. You know, that's who I am. And as an adult, talking to another adult, I can't get that communication. I don't know why, but I can't. But when it comes to a child, I'm there. I'm there, and I'll help them as much as I can. You know, I just see them. You know, I just help them out. I mean, we all have to. And I think that God gave me a good heart to help these children. I think if I had a big house, I would have a lot of kids. But unfortunately, I don't have a big house. But
full of children, sounds like.
Yes. But you know, only God
really
knows.
Nice, like in that bit where Dojo, he's picking children, he's starting with the children, and that's
exactly. You know, we have to, and I'm glad he's helping these children because they need to be directed to the right path.
And they won't have those kind of egos, will they? They won't be filled up with all this indoctrination that we've had, and you know, I'm better than you, get out of the way. That's what it's like.
Exactly.
Not
you know,
me first.
Yeah, yeah, very true. But yeah, That's who I am, Karen. Pancho knows a lot what I have told them before, but that's who I am. I love children. I care for them, and I pray for them, even those that are in the hands of evilness. What's going on with them. I pray
Children
for
are
them.
magical. They're magic children.
Right, right. And these children that are being sex slaves and being abused and using them as, what's going on in the world with them. We have to pray for them. I always pray and say, God to set them free because they're suffering, and who knows if they're alive. You know, that hurts me. It hurts my spirit because you can't do so much for them. You know what I'm saying? They're somewhere, or they passed on, and there's so much you could do, and those that you can't reach are the ones that need us. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get sentimental here, but I don't want
You
to.
did really well there, Kat. That was lovely.
Very well, because she's most definitely right. I've always taken proper precaution because I know how simple can be destructive. I know how sometimes it can be a little fudge, but it can be turned to something devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And she's definitely right. I mean, as the time progresses, you notice that as people become more touchy about sex and their genders and stuff like that, that pedophilia is really something that all parents, whether single household or not, is expecting. And sometimes it can even be manipulated as to may think someone is up under that. And so my liability is I'm never alone with the child. I'm always with in
Mm-hmm.
the classroom environment with all the other students or on the playground. And every time there's a child that comes over to stay the night with my wife will tell you, and she think it's a phobia. It's not a phobia. I just know that some children are so devious that they'll make up stories and have an innocent
Mm-hmm.
person so many things the so many things are occurring just so in the fashion that is unbelievable. And when you try to explain yourself and you're not able to grasp the words, I've encountered so many stories. Like I mentioned, I'm highly street trained and I'm well educated. You know what I'm saying? So I've had a taste of both worlds, should I say? And I can tell you right now, teaching children, I'm with Cat's Eyes through and through 100%, a hundo. It's just at the same time though, it's the world. It's still devastating. It's still so ugly that when anybody who want to do a pint of good, you have oceans of ugly and hatred that's going to override it because for some apparent reason they don't want everybody to have the equal opportunity, and I think that's very sad.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But yeah, Kara, we really need to step up for these children. Honestly, I mean, I think if we it'll be a better place for these children. Because even these children that goes to foster homes, thinking, oh wow, they're gonna treat me right. You know what? No, a lot of times I can guarantee you they're not being treated right. They're it's terrible, and
I was in a
we
foster,
need to step up, huh?
yeah, I was in a foster home for a while. Yeah, I was in a foster home for a while. I've had my shares of um of being jailed. I don't have any felonies. I've never caught a felony. I've never been to prison. I've done a couple of county time here and there, but that's just a short story.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, though. It's just so difficult trying to make it. I just want to see, I feel that every neighbor, and meaning everyone, should have the same equality at the same time. And if there's a glitch in somebody's reality with their children or their household, it's an easy fix if we all just, you know what I'm saying,
Take
assist
that
or put
time.
it that take that time. Exactly. These children are, I mean, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I can, I mean, out here, it's like, I love it where I'm at because it's like things like pedophilia, you can't get away with out here. They have a certain system to where you don't get away with it. And if you're caught, you can't, you have to register and tell your neighbors everywhere you go, all that. So that's taken care of. The preventative measure for that's taken care of. Um, but out here, what really bothers me with these children is the narratives that come from the household. Like, I'll explain one. Like, where I'm at, there's the population is majority Hispanic, or should I say Mexican. It's not a problem with that. My wife is half Mexican, half, white, European, whatever.
I'm a Latina.
Latina. There you go. And well, so my Young Scholar program is filled with bilingual, like Latina children. You know what I'm saying? And they the reason being is because they adapt to my children. My children are the teachers in my program. I don't teach in my program. What I do is teach my children the curriculum, and they teach the other children. You know what I mean? So this is making sure that my lineage stays strong. Anyhow, yeah, it's things like, I mean, people's skin that looks like poop. You know what I mean? It automatically gives the thought of what black is and what, excuse me, quote unquote, what nigger is. There's small little things that are just, I call like little small residue that's in households that people don't see, that causes their children to be curious about whether if it's the language to use or the behavior. Like, lastly, I'll conclude. I raised my son and my daughters to where they can use cuss words freely. They never knew what a cuss word was, because as soon as they started talking, I didn't give them I didn't indoctrinate them, tell them these are cuss words and these are good words. I already knew that the energy of these words will let me know how they will project the word. And sure enough, it worked out like a charm. They don't harbor cuss words like all these other youngsters. Sometimes I'm in the store, and I'm not throwing nobody's kid under the bus, but people's kids cuss so bad. Everything is a cuss word. And I just, I cuss sometimes, but I don't want my kids to grow up degenerating themselves because they think cussing is cooler than talking with conduct. It's a dojo principle, never fails. Conduct is a dojo principle. How do we teach the children, or should I say teach the children to have self-motivation to learn about flat earth and to learn about the truths that they don't give us in the national standards here in this country or any other country? Is it wrong to say that learning should be first and foremost the responsibility of the household before we say it should be a statistic at school? I mean,
it's the parents. I think it's the parents first. I mean, to teach your children, not to say these words, not, we're responsible. All parents are responsible.
Mine changed with my children when I got into psychology, but I'd been looking at the fact I had 3 kids, and that's how I was dealing with them. 3 kids, they were a number. And I had to learn each one was an individual, when they were little, remembering each one was different.
Yeah, true.
We're not all the same. We're all different and individual. No one else is you and no one else is me. So we have feelings. But I wish schools could be teaching children this kind of stuff, because a lot of stuff comes out at school and it's actually happening in their personal life, but it just comes out at school. And so, excuse me. What I'm saying is, it's a shame that schools couldn't help children. It shouldn't be the school's responsibility, but maybe they could have a lesson a week about community. Something.
Well, here in Arizona, I don't know in Cali or other states, but as I know, these teachers, some of them, not all, will say, okay, this is your assignment. You go home and do your assignment. But they don't teach them exactly what she needs to have from them. Here's the book, here's your assignment, go home and do it. Have your parents help you. Which, yes, the parents can help, but it's the responsibility as the teacher to teach them. That's why they're there. But now in this time, a lot of teachers don't care at all. It's not like in going back in time, they did care. But now it's like, here's your assignment, just go do it. And it's sad because a parent like a Latino, a Mexican. They don't know. How can you react with your child if the parent don't know or don't know English? How can you help them? So
Right.
to my point of view, hey, you're the teacher, you're getting paid, you teach them. But instead, no, they don't do that. They want the parents to do that, you know? And like I said, the Mexicans, and I'm not just saying them, there's other nationality, they cannot help their children. And it's sad that these teachers are taking advantage of their parents to teach them. And if they don't have school, because there's a lot of Mexicans, they only go up to a certain grade, and they only learn how to write their names and your A and B, C's, and the numbers. That's it. They don't go beyond that because that's their laws. You can stop going to school.
Do you think part
That's
of that
not like here.
capsize is because teachers have got so much regulations, they've got so many reports to make? And I mean, before maybe a child could have gone to a teacher 20 years ago, but they can't anymore because the teacher's so laden down with homework and rules and regulations. There's no time for them to be nice anymore.
Exactly. But also it's they don't care because because of their pay. Well, if you don't pay me, this is their way of thinking. Well, if you don't pay me enough, why should I teach them? That's the way I see it, and unfortunately it's sad because these children, it's not their fault that this teacher is not getting enough money. You're there, you went to school, you're supposed to teach them. It's not the other way around, for the parents to do it. I mean, I get upset because of that, because I see children struggling, especially if you're a Mexican and you come into this country and you're trying to learn English, and you struggle all the way even to high school. And it's sad because, again, the teachers, what they're doing to these kids. And I'm saying from 5 years to high school, they're struggling.
Some of this isn't the teacher's fault, though, is it? It's society. And now we know that they're, like some teachers do know we're flat, and a lot of teachers won't say because they're being paid by the government or whatever to be a teacher.
Right.
So they won't
Right.
say. But I mean, there are Steiner schools. I don't know if you've heard about those from Germany. They were started before or in the Second World War, where they take children and they don't use the colour black, and they let that child come out of themselves with drawings and stuff. And they also sit in groups and talk. And the children learn a lot more from listening and talking and being involved in a group.
Yes.
Our kids sitting down in a classroom, you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to say anything. You've got to look at the blackboard and the teacher's writing with their back to you all day long, and you've got to take all this in. It's a bit boring, isn't it?
I'm going to give you an example. Well, it really happened. There's a neighbor. Her sister. Well, it's two. They're brother and sister, and they came from California, and they're Mexicans. Okay. When they got there, like I said, I'm a spiritual field. The Lord sent me there. Okay, for some reason, and I helped them out. It was before Christmas, and I helped them out. And these children did not know anything. It hurt me. So their mom asked me, "Can you help them?" I said, "Sure." Well, guess what? I helped her because it was the older one. And she learned so fast compared to the school. And her mom said, "Thank you, Sophia, for helping my child." And let me tell you, it felt good to help a child that didn't know English, that couldn't understand, write correctly. This is why I say we have to be there for those children.
Right.
So when she told me, the little girl at that time, she was little, she was so happy because she got an A on a lot of her spellings. She was just happy. And it's sad that the society is teaching children like the ages, like I said, 5 and up. They're not teaching them correctly, how to write their names correctly. There are teachers out there that do care, but us as a society, we need to step up to help these children to learn correctly. Like Jojo said, you know, you have to be there for them and do it the right way, not through the system, because the system it failed every child in this, you know, in the
Right.
world.
And it's like what Karen was mentioning about the school, like the school boards and the school districts are assigned this way. I mean, in order to get a school um, um, degree to teach in classrooms, many of these, it's kind of like 20 years went by, and those who became school teachers, or who they hold a psychology degree, or maybe they hold a
Mm-hmm.
social science degree. Many of them, the school system, there's children and there's people who tell themselves, you know what, I love teaching and I want to become a teacher. And so many of them,
Mm-hmm.
when they go to school to become teachers, they don't take that's okay. How do I explain this? In order to have a career, to have a career path, it's a student education plan. And in order to, and that student education plan is not tailored, it's assigned. This is the indoctrination of the school districts. It's whether if you go into junior college, university, you know, I mean, wherever you're deciding to go to when you get out of high school, the student education plan is the indoctrination portion. It's assigned to you what classes you're going to take according to what you
Exactly.
decide to say what you're going to be. So if I want to be a fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, whatever teacher, right? You don't necessarily, I don't, the assigned course, it has nothing, you don't take no communication classes, which communications is a science within itself. Like Karen
Mm-hmm.
was mentioning, a lot of this learning and knowledge can be passed on orally, just through communicating. We're proving that with these panels that we're just firing up 7-8 hours. Some of these panels can be given off like curriculum, you know. And so these teachers are, if you do the observation of usually these teachers, none of them are trained or have the skills to teach. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Teaching is a people skill. You have to be a people person for one. Teaching has to be able to, you can't be biased. There's no way you can be in racist and be teaching, you know what I mean? So has this umbrella that comes with it, that people fail to realize that it affects the care of the teacher, because they get exhausted because they know with what they're up against compared to what they're given from the principal to meet the stats and a quota, knowing that this stuff is not working. It's when we're dealing with people and how they, this is the thing about flat earth. I don't like to jump around the subjects, but I just don't want to be long-winded. But when we're dealing with somebody saying that it's going to bring hardship, right? How how real are we as being side by side and saying, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and shut the system down. The system being shut down by an individual will never happen. Now, by it being shut down by a group will never happen. A massive amount of people will never happen. I I support shutting down the school system unless they decide to fill in the blanks and make the school system um, achievable for everybody equally, you know? And that's the only way I see anything being for our future, is starting with this, what we're being taught and how we're being taught. That's just it.
Yeah,
Changing
because
an adult's already, the mind of an adult, you know, is already fashioned. Here, these
mm,
mechanisms I'm speaking about, it's already fashioned in its way to where it's already fashioned. That's why it's easier, and it's crazy because it's like out here in America, they know that when the brain, the child's brain is more vigilant and active than an adult's brain is. So that means that you'd want to teach the child the most advanced and the most complex things at the beginning, not work your way up to it. I've taken 5-year-olds and 6 years olds and taught them anatomy. I've taught them all the bones. I've taught them things that adults don't know, but they wanted me to start them off with just colors and ABCs. And that's really degenerating the brain. It's causing the mechanism not to be nourished in a way that it's growing. When the brain is growing that rapidly, you want to cram it with some of the most complex things, because you'll be surprised out of the information that comes out of it. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Children's brains are magnificent with the information. You know, they tell you the brain grows and knows its most at the first 5 years. If that's the truth, then why are we starting them off with simple colors and numbers? You should start them off with some of the, with some of the most complex sciences, the true sciences, the natural ones, the ones that cannot be refuted, like the ones like the body. The human body cannot be refuted. Those sciences are irrefutable. You know, we have anatomy that shows us these things. Children picks up, and I would like to go ahead and give a plug. It's a guy by the name of Ron, that's R-O-N, Clark Academy. Ron Clark Academy, he's an amazing guy. He's in the poverty concentrated area, and he's running this academy, and it's the way he teaches. That's why his numbers look the way they do. He has this charisma about his teaching skills that it's out of this world. It's crazy. You would have to, those who listen in, type in Ron Clark Academy and check out how he gets down with his academia. I really enjoy it because there's no way you cannot pick it up. Even with math, he intertwines music, cartoons. He even got them standing on top of their desk dancing. He does the things that they want to learn and how to learn. You have to allow the child to learn with fun. Learning has to be fun for these children, because if not, their attention span will divert. Rest the floor.
Yeah, that's what happens, is that children get bored. Can I just say that Yudit's joined us from Israel? Yudit?
Shalom, everybody. Good to be
Shalom.
Talking about your favourite thing at the moment, children. Although the topic was ego, but if you don't start with the children and teach the children differently, then they're going to grow up with wrong egos.
With ego, exactly. Yes.
Too much ego in the wrong places. But don't forget, we're also taught it even as adults. You just look at the adverts, just look at the films. I mean, the films are all violent. The games are all violent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you make for children, but all the games. What's the one with the Grand Theft Auto? Look at that one.
Right.
These movies that they're making for these children, they keep, like you said, 5 years old, they're watching this movie. It stays in their mind, and they think it's okay. And sad, because these parents should know better for a 5-year-old or 6, in between where they're learning, to watch these movies and say, oh, this is okay. And so as they're growing, they think it's okay. Movies and cartoons, it's not good for these children to learn in a young age, instead of teach them differently. And unfortunately, it's not like that. These children are being taught, again, the way of the government wants you to learn. And as a parent, they should get them away from these cartoons and these movies, so their brain can focus on learning other things, because they can catch, really quick on them, what they're being taught. Because by the time, if you're watching cartoons or movies, by the time they need to learn, it will be hard for them. I think that's what I think. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but that's the way I think. I guess.
I agree. It's all in order to keep creating poverty, in order for others to flourish. And it's not, I don't mean to say that in such a harsh way. It's really not a bad thing until, or in order for us to sustain livelihood within the matrix, we have to tell ourselves, how do we adjust ourselves to where we're not being victimized by society? And the way we do it is we really have to understand that what our assets mean to our life, to our households, and to our family. Some of us who come from single parent households, some of us who do have the same mother and father, or maybe you have, a stepdad. It doesn't really matter. When the parents begin to recognize that they are able to look into the child's future in order to say, okay, my children are not going to have to be dependent on the system or dependent on someone else. That right there should be enough to give that parent the endeavor to begin to fashion that children's guidance in order for that child to grow up with the morals to be something in life. Because usually what sustains the middle class or the wealthy class is their assets. They will tell you that if you have land in your family, you're well off. That meaning that, you know, you can always expect a healthy breakfast in the morning, and you can always expect the proper teaching because you have land in your family. As well as they'll say, if you have a family that has a family-owned business that's been around 10, 20 years, you can always pass that down to your offspring. But these are the assets that I mentioned to sustain yourself within a system that has no care for you, that wants you poor, that wants you to be dependent upon it. These, how do the parents see these snares in their lives as parents? And they're knowledgeable of these snares, but they do not prepare their child in order for them to be successful in society. I guess success is really a fine line, because success will determine, will you rise above the person next to you and look at them differently, or will you sustain yourself sufficiently and look at them equal to? I rest the floor.
Yeah.
Well, very nicely said. Quite a powerful. Yeah. What do we say to that, Dojo?
I say it's dojo time. That's basically that. And usually when something goes like that, you hear the sword go shring, and that sharpening of the sword is basically showing that inside dojo, that is me going against my ego. And once I find that fine harmony with my ego and my and who I am, self, you know, me mastery, it becomes off like that. And what I'm learning from the most is all the power that all of us are putting into YouTube with these panels, because I'm noticing everyone's becoming stronger and stronger. I'm not no stronger than anyone and no weaker than anyone. I'm noticing people are beginning to use their voices. Your voice is your frequency. It's called bone conduction. You may not sound the same or be confident enough in your mind because you may think you sound a certain way, but you must project your voice, whatever language you speak in, because this is the frequency that allows us to understand who you truly are in spirit. I mean, people can say what they want, but these panels are causing all of us to speak vigorously, regardless if it's humble or not.
Yeah, there wasn't enough communication going on, was there, anyway? And again, yeah, that just builds things up and makes people behave in strange ways, because there's such a lack of communication. We're just watching the television or phones, or we're not talking enough to each other. And then sometimes with this ego thing, there's problems only because actually people just don't understand each other. That's what most of it is. But everybody just argues instead.
A lot of ego comes from feeling cheated. People feel like, since we can't answer the most simplest things, we can sound educated, we can talk a smooth one. They call them soothsayers in religion. But what we cannot answer is, what happens to the one who has been treated unfairly? Will that person find real prosperity then? The thing is, now with the way things are now, they see that this person or maybe that person got it illegally, or they got it because they decided to say, I'm going to take what doesn't belong to me, you know? And so that makes them feel like, okay, there's an ultimatum. Should I be good and be patient and let it come to me through wishing and working hard, or should I go get it right now? And see, that's why our whys is connected to the willpower, because our willpower will give us that I guess that audacity to act like the ego has become superior. Because, you know what I mean, superiority can be projected through ego. People make it seem like it's a racist thing, and it's not. It's really an egotistic thing. I mean, if you look at the history of racism, if you look at the history of colonialism, you'll see a lot of egotistic men in the back ends, because it's something about being a man and belonging to a clan that make us feel involved. All men, and I can speak for all men, we must feel involved by joining brotherhoods. And that's why it feels so good to be egotistic as a man around other men. You know, they call it entertainment, but we call it a sport. I rest the floor.
Thank you for explaining that bit as well. Yeah. Mind you, men are made differently to women, though, aren't they? It doesn't mean we can't understand each other, but men are different to women. I mean, generally, a man goes out to forget about things, and a woman goes out to talk about it. Quite different.
That's why I love Brother Sanchez so much, because he has taught me how to resonate myself with the feminine me. I don't want nobody to take that wrong, but in order to,
you're allowed to have a little woman in you. Women are allowed to have a little men in them. That's just the way it is. Embrace it. We need to embrace that part of ourselves.
Yeah, because you're definitely right. Ego can make you feel like a stone wall. For real. Sometimes when I was growing up, I felt real brick hard. You know what I mean? And I can be real with you. It's just, but no matter what, out of all that time growing up and living that type of lifestyle, I still didn't do anything wrong that I consider that didn't deserve that. You know what I mean? I didn't do anything to somebody or to myself that I feel like didn't deserve it coming. You know what I'm saying? And I can't erase a lot of things that I've endured. Neither can I erase anything that I committed. But that's the unfair part. That's the cheated part. No one wants to feel like the creator doesn't love them wholeheartedly, like the creator would love someone who has never, I guess, committed a sin. So they use this terminology on our brains and make us feel guilty for being bad guys, when really though we're bad, because bad guys, we have no other alternative to be bad. We don't, I don't know how to put it really. I mean, if you've seen Wreck-It Ralph, I guess that's the best way of putting it.
I was talking away then, and I was muted. I'd wish you'd talk a bit more, Dojo. I was really getting into that.
Now that we've found each other, and we've become acquainted, I'm sure I'm gonna attempt to wear my welcome here. I mean,
that's cool.
Talking is something that communication is something I'm real big on. I'm real big on communicating. I talk with DOJO Time East all the time. I can talk 3-4 hours. I feel like if I do pass away, should I say, eventually I will, and my conscious awareness of who I was here is only filled with the remembrance of things that I have in my mind, it would be through communication. It wouldn't be through anything else. And so this is some of these memories that I can take with me when it's time to depart. I think you guys understand where I'm going at. So I appreciate your time today.
I think it's really nice that you're doing this bit with the children, because most people forget about the children, and Cat's Eyes has been talking about the children today. Yudit loves children. Don't you, Yudit?
You've got 6'3", so I'm a big guy. So I'm 6'3", so when I walk and I'm fully tatted like a billboard, I'm like really collaged out. And so when they see me, it all depends. Sometimes it all depends on where I'm subbing that day, and they see me, they're like, oh my God, they see what they see on TV. They see the Snoop Dogg. They see the Wes Khalifa. Oh, what if he smokes marijuana? Oh, he's cool. He got tats on his hands. Look, you know what I mean? And a lot of things that I do as in characteristics, I do deliberately, because it gives me, it levels the ground of each student once I walk into the classroom. You know what I mean? I'm so unknown. You wouldn't think, if they took a picture of me, you would think that, okay, this is a guy who does rap, or maybe he's in entertainment movies or something. You wouldn't think that I was in the teaching field. You wouldn't think. And so the children don't think that either. They place me with the dreadlocks and the tattoos, and they already place me where I already know they're going to place me. And so I use that as a crutch. And when I get in there, and it helps out a lot. What I mean is that sternness, without having to use a word, just walking in there looking like, okay, whoa, they've gonna let a gangster come in class, right? I'm able to get past certain barriers of each child simultaneously without having to even assess them any further. Rest of the floor.
Just ask, how many children are you looking after then, Dojo?
Each year it changes. There's a few teachers that I go to their classrooms, and they give me an hour, and each year, one thing I've noticed is these same teachers who are retiring, they also are going back down towards 3rd and 2nd grade, because of the mindsets of these children who are coming, who are going through the school system. These children are really they're really active. They're really loud. They don't have. They need guidance. They don't need instructions. They just need guidance. Let them be who they are. They'll figure it out, But they get so energetic because they're around each other, and so I've been around 31 kids, 31 students. When I used to do it in junior college, it was still 20-something, 30-something students. That's the problem when you have one person who does not know how to convey or a dialogue through communications to an entire audience, which is considered a classroom. We have a problem. Because, boredom sets in too fast. Before you know it, they're giggling and they want to, and it's the same thing in junior college. It's the same thing in universities. People think that just because they go to universities, these people have better conduct. Nope. The classrooms are still the same way. It's just, I guess it's prerogative.
Well, that these children like it because you're talking to them. Because I'm not being horrible to people, and we're all probably, as parents, we've done it. But I just know that you can talk to children. They really like you talking to them. Looking at them, looking in their eyes and talking to them.
Yeah.
So they feel that they're something, someone, they're somebody.
They can feel care. Regardless if they feel agitated because they have to cooperate for that moment, they can feel care. Children can feel that you care without you having to show it. Caring is something that caring is priceless. You can't put a price tag on care. And that's the problem when it comes to the medical industry. That's why I go hard in the medical field. It's because you can't put a price on caring. And when they make these elderly homes and these hospitals for these inpatients, a lot of nursing doesn't understand how to assess their patients appropriately in order to give off true care. You can't announce.
I agree.
Caring is something else. Caring, if the care isn't appropriate, the spirit of that person will become discouraged and they will pass away from whether if it's a pathogen or just a broken heart. People do die from broken hearts. It's just care. Care has been compromised, and people tell me
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. It's been lost.
It's been lost.
Just like numbers on a conveyor belt nowadays. And I like the fact that you're taking it back to care. And also I think you'll know, because obviously you like children, but if you gain their trust, that's it, you've got them.
Oh yeah, if you gain their trust, you become a parent to them. People feel like your only parents are your biological parents. There's people out there, like I consider Wendy Blank a real sister. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure Phoenix Bars would say the same. It's just certain people have this thing about them that you know them before you became who you are today. I guess before birth. I don't know how to explain it, but you don't have to be caught up on that's my biological or my blood sister, my blood brother, my blood cousin. No, there's certain care out there that it's so comforting that you just feel like you can be with that person for your remainder.
And also, children don't want the razzle dazzle on anything. They just want the truth. They just want to hear it the way it is. They don't need all the, excuses, lies, all this. They're a lot more simple. And yeah.
Children are. This is where it's at. It's that, and that's how I became an infinite plane flat earther. I feel like Earth has never died before. I feel like perhaps they can try to prove that mankind has been washed away or humans has died before, but the Earth is forever. The Earth is infinite. To me, it feels like a transitioning place. It feels like a realm of transitioning, and I feel that way because I taught children long enough. And when I say children, I mean people who are 15, 16, 19. The classroom stuff is for the 4th and 5th, 3rd graders. That's what I went to school to do. But I'm really in the streets with children who are teens. They don't have these chances. They have tattoos all over their faces. They're destroying their temples. They don't care about care. And it's really difficult. My line of work I don't get paid for this. People don't want to get paid to learn. People don't want to learn new things. People don't want schooling. They don't want what I provide.
Well,
So
thank you so much for doing it, though, because maybe through people like you, the next generation will care about each other.
If I can just duplicate myself a couple of times, and not myself, but this model, this methodology of how to feel complete. I feel complete in life. I mean, I used to feel really, you know what I'm saying? I used to neglect my edges, and I used to try to send them down. But I noticed every time I sent an edge down, it came back to be an edge again. That's just the way it is. When you begin to accept who you are in its totality, you'll be okay.
I have these words. It says, "No, this is when you're a spiritual master. Know yourself, see yourself, accept yourself, and be yourself."
All of the above. I agree. I just agree. I mean, the words sound genuine. They're simple, but you can just feel the energy of when you read it and I heard it. Hearing and listening is a very big thing.
You know, but if these children are taught differently, then they'll have different egos, and they won't be worrying about all the nasty things children think today. Because there's a lot of bullying goes on in schools. I mean, maybe it was the same when I was younger, but I just didn't notice it like that. I'm not saying the girls didn't fight on the playground sometimes. I'm just saying there's this big thing of bullying right now. Everybody's bullying someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bullying is a bad thing. Bullying can also be interjected through the movies, the entertainment. Now that we have these sports, we have a lot of things. Ego has a lot to do with I don't want to say persona, but how it's difficult. Bullying. I was considered somebody like a bully beater. Like I would anxiously wait until I found a bully just so I can have a reason to say I did that to that person because he was a bully anyway. And so I was always in the wrong, but I was in a, you know what I mean? You can't be, sometimes you have to right some wrongs and wrong some rights. I guess, if that, you know what I mean? Bullying is a hard thing to get over or to get through to a child, because bullying is an indoctrination. It has something to do with either not liking them something about themselves or something that has been trickled down. I mean, children pay attention to who's raising them like a hawk. They really do, unless they're growing up in the system, meaning being a ward of the court and they're just bouncing around to like foster homes. Other than that, if they're inside their household, everything that goes on within that household, these children are soaking it up like a sponge, even if it doesn't seem like they are. That's why.
Yeah, in my psychology bit, a child, but it might be younger now, up to about the age of 7, is like a psychic sponge. It believes everything they're told. It's only after that they start saying when, why, what, how. Sorry?
The Marlena, the way Marlena has displayed it, to me, that's a natural way of teaching. It's kind of like Finding Nemo, how all the little fish would get on the back of that one fish, and the fish would take all the little ones around the whole coral reef and actually show them the experience and talk them through that's organic teaching. When we're sitting in a classroom with just pencils and pens and we can't use cursive anymore, we're closed. No, I think good experience teaching must be outside. That's the same how I feel about religions. Maybe they should have Sunday school outside on the grass. Well, how come we always have to be indoors around 4 walls? Sometimes the outside is the best experience of life. That's what I've been trying to get across to some of the flat earthers.
You know what that was? Yeah, sitting on the grass and soaking up some of those negative ions which are in the ground, which we need.
Yeah, we don't get that out here. The best thing we get is a hot day or a cold breeze. There's so much, like I mentioned, the cement and
it just seems we're a bunch of ants, and the ants have forgotten how to live. But then life isn't set up to live anymore, is it? With the way you've got to be working like so many hours a day, and by the time you get home, then you're tired, and you go to bed, and it starts all over again.
Yeah, that's
you know, we're little ants.
They turned us into machines.
Yeah, but unfortunately, even though I don't really want to be in this society, like I'm not voting for it again, and etc., but I've still got to look after my daughter, you know, and we still live in this system.
Exactly. Yep. See, and it hurts. It hurt when I don't know. I really wish I knew what I was doing before. And this is when I was explaining how knowledge can callous you and take away your innocence. This is what I mean. It's like when I see my children and I love them so much, it's like shucks, why did I bring them here? You know what I mean? It's because like some of us believe in a God, and most of us know there's a creator. I say all of us know for sure there's a creator. And I just want to be able to I don't know how y'all ladies see it, but I want to die before my kid. I don't want to die. I don't want none of my kids dying before me. I don't think I can live through that.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So I hold on to certain things with the creator to make sure that I allow the creator to keep me idled, or should I say guided, because these are certain promises that he, she, or it, whatever the creator is, cannot break in my life. And this is how I explain being around or being in certain situations, is that sometimes we have to look at what love really is and how it'll help us see our own lives. You know what I mean? I mean, love is...
If you love yourself a bit, then there's more love to give. You've got more love to give everyone. There's an endless supply. If you're not very happy and you're all depressed and all, there's no love to give.
Yeah.
And medication stops that as well, because obviously you need to feel things. But medication, you know, like antidepressants, they don't really help in a relationship. But then those people don't want to feel things. Sometimes feeling is just too much.
And then we have the other, I guess what I call 666 darkness. I call it 666 darkness is those youngsters who will not, they've made their minds up. They wanna shoot it out. They want to hurt you. They want to.
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no getting through to them. And that's what really hurts me more than anything, is that they don't even give themselves a chance to try, because they've
kind of given up already.
Yeah. Did they give up, or was they born this way? I don't see. These are the questions that I ask the creator, and it's like I get no answer, but it's like it affects me, because it's kind of, I don't want to be cheated either. It is, I want to die comfortable, that I do pray for, but don't just wash me away without answering some of my questions, creator, because I really don't understand. Is this child broken because this child want to carry a gun? And not, I mean,
it's just a reflection, though, isn't it, of what it's seen. I mean, I haven't really talked very much about my life, but I did with the boy's dad live in this place called the Cotswold Community. It was a therapeutic community for highly disturbed children. And what they did was they took inner city children and they tried to regress them and give them all the things that they'd never had. So at the age of 10, they could walk around with a duck on a string if they needed to pick up those things that, say, a normal child would have. But unfortunately, they stuck them in the middle of families. So I used to think they're looking like they want what we've got. And then some of the stories, some of the things that you learn, I mean, these children are very emotionally off, and they've seen and been through horrible things, like not fed properly for months, not had their nappies changed. Just horrible things happen when they go home. And but these are the lucky ones that have been picked up from inner cities. But if you understand, it's so intense that the adults that look after them can't stay the time, and they also need psychotherapy each week to cope with looking after these children. But at least these children have been picked up and maybe have a different life than those that got left in it. But I mean, look at society, look how horrible it is. But the one thing I will say is, though, that everybody moans about everything, but you make your own communities. And Marlena although she's gone now because her phone died, but she was explaining that's how they live in a community. They help each other. You cannot make a government responsible for that. The people have to do that. We have to retrain ourselves. There's so much we've lost, and we need to go, we need to learn to be nice to each other. And like DOJO, starting with children, which is the best. Anyway, someone else want to talk now?
Yeah, it might not reflect that with my account, but that's really my that's really the catalyst. It's with the children. You know what I mean? It's with the children, and like I mentioned, I do mean children in ages from like 9 to 19, 9 to 24. 24. It seems like that's the most that's the gap. You know what I mean? From like 9 to 12. Now, I would say like 11. From 11 to 24. That's when it all takes place. It all takes place.
I think with my psychology books that I've read, that a child's roughly made its mind up about the age of 3 and then lives that stance for the rest of their life unless they work themselves out, know themselves. Hi, Trotters. Flat Trotters has just joined us. We've got Dojo on with us, Cat's Eyes.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody?
Hello, my darling. We're talking about, well, we're talking about the ego, but the thing is that Dojo works with children. So isn't that great that he can help these children feel differently about themselves, and then they don't have this horrible, spiteful, nasty ego, which seems to be this sort of narcissist way that we've got today. And nobody cares about each other. What's your thoughts on ego then, Trotters?
I'm sorry, come again. I'm driving. It was hard to hear that. What was that again?
I was just saying, what's your words on ego, like egotistical, all the wrong sides of an ego? We're talking about, that's why I heard Dojo talking about we need to be responsible for our egos and this whole thing. And I thought, wow, we need to have a hangout with him. Respect, you know. What's your version on all this sort of what an ego should be?
Yeah, that's a good
Big
topic
question.
there. Yeah, I need to think about that for a second.
Okay, Dojo, you have to keep talking then.
Yeah, I'm here. Shout out to all the new panelists. Yeah, I'm here. I was just opening my garage, finishing the laundry before my wife came home. Yeah, I do chores. That's one thing I do also. It's chores.
Hey, that's good. Hello, Dojo's wife. Yeah. You know what though? If you're a happier person and you're not worrying about all that ego stuff, it doesn't even fill your life. And it is really sad if children have kind of, you know, young people have given up. It's terrible, isn't it? That's what they've seen. They're a reflection of what they've seen.
That's true. There's a perfect example. I'll give you a scenario. My neighbors, they decided to rent the house out before they moved, and the house they rented out, I guess, you know, a lot of people out here, they'll alter their rental lease in order for them just to get approved for the home, and then they move everybody in, or they just bring in. And so this is what I mean by conduct during, and what I mean by art starts in the community first. And so they have a 19-year-old son. We've gotten into it several times. I mean, quite heated, you know. And like I said, I'm 40, he's 19, and I'm old enough to be his father. And so I'm thinking that his father is going to be man enough to, you know what I mean, to discuss some things with me while his son is present, and to make his son to understand that this is how you have a conduct in your community, especially if somebody's minding their business, because he's a little knucklehead. And it didn't happen that way. His father actually lashed out at me as well. And so what it caused me to do was lash at the father. So it caused me to escalate. Instead of diffusing the situation, his father caused it to escalate. And now that everything is diffused, there's adolescents out there who only follow in the footsteps of their parents. Some of their parents don't really know. They just don't. Here we go back to the caring part of it. It goes back to caring. Like, it just does. I mean, some people feel like they're high and mighty, or they must look down upon a certain society, a certain aspect of people in order to feel like there's something in life. Some people have to shit on the little man in order to feel bigger than what who they feel that they are. And I came across that and experienced that myself. So some attitudes and personalities I cannot I, I don't have a magic wand. Dojo time is not a trick. I guess I'm just trying to
You have to surround yourself with.
wing.
I know you can't help it with your neighbour, but what emanates from you, if you're happy in that, you attract this back, and so you just and you have to make sure then you've got nice people around you and not them. But you can't help a neighbour, can you? If when someone's living next to you, you don't have a choice in that. But people may not realise things like this elderly lady. One day she was telling me something. I met her at the zebra crossings, crossing the road, and she was explaining things about how she knew people were angry because they wanted to change the weather. And it's something you can't change. So you just get on with things. But she could tell by the way they were talking about things, oh, the weather. They were angry people inside, but they didn't realise they were angry.
Yeah.
If you understand.
Yeah, I totally do. I didn't know what to do, so I stayed to myself when it comes to the neighborhood. And but yeah, it was just crazy. And you know what? It's crazy because you can't tell somebody how to raise their children. They feel really offended when you like try to bring to them how to, then maybe your child shouldn't
I'm
be
pretty
doing that.
sure that you're the kind of person like with the neighbour, all it was a wall. That was it. And you can't get over the wall. So you're just going to react the way you are because there's no way over the wall to get to them to sort it out because you just know with what they say and do, it's a wall.
Right. Some of the most of the adolescents out here, these teenagers, they're on what they call promethazine. It's just like cough syrup. They have a high tolerance by doing multiple drugs. I'm talking like Xanax, Ativan, and so that you can come across a group of kids, 19, between 17 and 19. It could be 4 or 5 of them driving their grandmother's Cadillac or something. They're all zannied out, drinking promethazine, and they're just out of it. Some of them even be on methadone, And so when we speak of the youth and these children, we haven't even scratched the surface because they're still subjected to using mind-altering drugs at such an early age that they begin to build a drug tolerance to where now they're 22 years old and they're going hammer with all kind of so all of this takes effect on the brain mechanisms. All of it just degenerates the person. It degenerates the person. It's like I said, it's a war that has no ending when it comes to making it to where there's no child left behind.
That sounds terrible, doesn't it, when you have to say there's war?
It is. It is. It's really terrible. I mean, because when you have that natural caring within you, you can. I mean, it's just sad to see.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's really horrible. It's sad. It's like, oh my God, and it even hurts even worse when you come across some that frustrates you, and you be like, you know what I mean? Good riddance. It serves you right. You know what I mean? That type of, and then you feel like, God damn it, did I go wrong right now by saying that? You see what I'm saying? Because you get so frustrated because you want everybody to give themselves that one chance to try. Just do it one time. And if it don't work, then you can go back to your negative ways. But there's some out there who won't even try because they feel like by letting you in compromises them and they have no strength in the streets no more. That's just how I see it.
Yeah. And the parents don't often help, though, do they? Because it depends how those parents were treated. Because it is a multi-generational cycle of how people treat each other. I wasn't allowed to be me. I was just controlled. I had to do and say what. Even at 16, they had still in ankle socks, and I didn't really have my own voice. Only my parents. You just don't realise it because they brought me up. I don't know any different. Just control. And that's how people cope, and that's not living, is it?
It's truly not. My childhood, I was raised when I was little, coming up by my great grandmother, and see my great grandmother. My great grandmother is white, and I tried to explain this, but it seems like it just does not get through. It doesn't get through to people's head that my grandfather, his mother was full white. So whatever happened, whether if it was through rape or she decided to sleep with one of the slaves, or I don't know what occurred. What I do know for sure is that my grandfather, his mother is white, okay? And her mother and father are white. and their mother and father are white. And so the point I'm trying to make is that through my grandfather and my dad's side, excuse me, my mom's side, her dad, I'm a black man today. Yes, of course, we all can see that, but it's something different, not different. My my essence of care is more it's more damn it, it's more vibrant because a part of me come from a white lineage and the other part of me come from the darker Sudani lineage. Okay, so I mean everybody can trace their blood, whatever, but I can trace mine through facts. I can show you pictures of my great grandmother. I can show you, I mean, as far as I can go back. But my thing is that I'm up against so much because as a teacher, looking for equality for each student, even racism is a anchor. It's an anchor. It's an anchor. They can accept to learn together, whether in the classroom or on the playground. But that mentality changes if they have to invite someone over to their home or get a birthday invitation to come and enjoy the festivity. Racism has become something evil.
Even that bit though, you know, it's not actually the people's fault. We've been taught this way, we've been bred this way, we've been indoctrinated this way. I think it's absolutely disgusting that they've turned the people against the people and made it all this racialist, this whole thing. It's disgusting. But the people wouldn't have been like that. It's just this total indoctrination.
It makes it hard to teach as well. It makes it very hard to teach because it seems like you're going against perhaps what their parents has taught them or what their little quote unquote gang has affiliated them to be like. And so it makes it difficult to teach. And the only thing I teach is to give yourself a chance. That's pretty much all I teach. Is to give yourself a chance, you know what I mean?
But then that's a big group ego, isn't it? Because you imagine now I'm cool and slick and, oh, look, you're going to follow me and you're going to do it my way and everybody's got to be like that. So that's a collective horrible ego, isn't it? That's now instilled in this group of people where they think it's cool to be like that when it isn't. It's the opposite. And all they really probably is crying out is what they're really saying is, I need a hug.
Truly.
I need someone to love me.
Truly. Truly, most people who are initiated into gang activity or into gang life is because the gang gave them that type of care that they did not receive from home. So really, everything you say is truly correct. There's a percentage of people who decided to say, I'm going to initiate myself into this lifestyle because of the fact that they had that support, they had that care, that what we may say is bad, but it got them full that night and it allowed them to buy that weed that next morning. So it's just lifestyle itself is really what we're all up against. Who's willing to give themselves that chance in life to say that this is a style that, you know, this is a charisma I want to live. I'm really, I've been a gang affiliated all my life, 40 years. I was born into gang life. My mama, my daddy, all of us in California, 90% of us, we can say this. Most of the Mexicans are whether norteño or sereno. Most of the blacks are whether Crips or Bloods, and most of the whites are whether Crips or Bloods, norteños or sereno. See, out here in California, we don't understand what it's like to think how it is down south. They were down south. The history books and all this stuff, they taught them to think a certain way. Out here in Cali, we don't see race. We don't see the race. You know what I'm saying? We see it's more of a turf thing. It's like a street thing. It's like if you see a homeless teenager because their parents are strung out, what do? Do you put them on? I mean by put them on. Do you put them on your gang or your set? Because this is the only way you're going to take care of them. You don't make enough money as an adolescent yourself. You don't make enough money to support another adolescent. And so when gang activity occurs, this is how organized crime comes about. Most people are looking for care. And so, Karen, you're right. Most of this can end with a hug. But what happens after that hug? Is that a synthetic hug or is that a real caring hug that we can give that person the alternative?
I meant from the beginning, if they could have had that love and care. Because, I mean, it's like you can have two children, can't you? You can have the one that the parent says is thick, ugly, useless, and all the rest, and grows up that way. And then you've got, and it doesn't teach them that, like you said, occasionally positive. That when you're arguing, it can have positive outcomes if it's occasionally and it's the right way. So you're teaching That child doesn't get any of that. The other one gets love, gets taught things, gets taught emotions. It's okay for this, it's okay for that. The parent says sorry sometimes. Well, that child is going to be totally different to the one you called thick, stupid, and useless.
It's the Cain and Abel story at its finest. And the Cain and Abel story is so tailored that they miss the whole aspect. When you look at the Cain and Abel story, Cain did exactly what Cain was told to do. Cain did not fret, Cain did not frown. Cain did exactly what he was told, and so did Abel. So it was only up to the Lord God to denounce what Cain had did, what he was told. And so when you say, not you per se, Karen, I'm just speaking as in general as a story. So in the story of Cain and Abel, when I denounces Cain, when I denounce or when the Lord denounces Cain's offering, but accepts Abel's offering, Cain, that's the birth of ego. Cain gets upset for the fact that I did exactly what you told me to do, and I did it honorably, and you still denounced me and denounced my offering to you. That is the birth of ego. That is when the collision of Cain and Abel really caused me to see, like, okay, it's see, a lot of people like to use the term in psychology, they like to use the term cognitive dissonance. But there's a term in psychology also called Stockholm syndrome. And Stockholm syndrome runs rampant today. Stockholm syndrome is something that causes the brain to just collapse and just give in to its oppression, whether if it's being suppressed in a negative way or not. It causes the brain to say, you know what, I am comfortable with being the victim. That is Stockholm syndrome, and that's running rampant. And that's the Cain and Abel story. The Cain did not do anything wrong in order for the Lord to denounce him the way that he did. Now the
Jojo,
slew part, I don't understand the slew part, but that's how that story resonated with me. I yield the floor.
Jojo, I like to give you one more point of view about Cain and Abel. Actually, Cain and Abel, it's you, it's W, it's the bad you and the good you. You see, Cain and Abel, it's a symbol that what's happened in us. It's the bad me and the good me. This is Cain and Abel. You see, you need to take it as a symbol and not as a story that was two brothers and they kill each other. No, it's the W. It's the W. You kill yourself. This is the meaning. Think about this, Dejo. What do you think?
That was
Yeah, that was breathtaking. I never looked at it as the double me. So it allows me to re-advise what I may think, taking it literally, and I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. And also Adam and Eve. You can watch this in another point of view. It's not the woman's fault. It's nobody fault. It's it's us who ask from Yah, from God. Yes, we ask to become like Him, Creator. So so we become Creator like God. So we need to live our life here like we are already in heaven. You see, um, it's not correct story about Adam and Eve. Eve fault. It's not true. This is not correct story. The correct story it's being only a human being who wants to be creator like his father, and his father give him this, and his father tell him, now I watch you what you are going to do with your creator. See? Now I watch you. I give you this present to create, and I want to see, I watch you. You know, like Morpheus said, Neos tell him, look, I know how to do this, and I know how to do this. So Morpheus tell him, show me. So it's the same. Our Father tell us, show me what you do with this creation that I give you. Show me.
Thank you, Yudit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was deep. That was real deep, and I'll never forget how you said we're already in heaven, even though we're here, but we're already there. I mean, I might be slightly paraphrasing, but I I heard you say that we're already in heaven. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We are. We are. Right now. Right here. It is heaven. And everybody must bring this heaven to his life right now. Right now. Yes. And feel it like he is there. Yes. There. It's here. It's inside us. It's in our heart. Ego in heart. It's connected. It, it's it must be connected to the heart. Otherwise, it's bad ego. It's kind, connected. Everybody, everything connected. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Yudit.
Yes.
Sorry, Jojo. Dojo. I can't say it now. Dojo, go.
Yeah, that was real heavy, in a real spiritual way. I mean, I don't know who was speaking right now, but I mean,
Yudit.
My name is Yudit. I'm from Israel. Nice to meet you all.
nice. It's nice to meet you. You say you're from Israel.
Yes.
Nice. Um, I'm
One of the
speaking.
only flat earthers there.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I think what it is like so there's certain people who begin to speak, and when I begin to listen, I would prefer to keep listening. And Yudi is one of those, a person like that. And so I'm lost for words now. Not saying that I was, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know.
I can continue. Thank you.
Yes, please continue.
So we are walking in the morning. Everything in the place. Thank God. Now I think with myself, I need to pray for myself, for my neighbor, for my city, for my country, and I do up to my earth. And then I go up with my friend to everything is upstairs. And then I go down with everything is there. I don't know what is there, but yeah, I pray for everything because I am everything. Everything is connected. And then I pray for the people who um, change position from life to something else, energy. But this energy is still here, still here. So yeah, and then I'm ready to go out and see the creation.
And just to explain that Yudit goes out with her P900 every day to take pictures of the sun and the moon, don't you? Down by the sea.
Yes, and then the nature make me his show, his big show, special for me. Picture me like this, picture me like this, now picture me like this. like a child, you know, he present for me, he show me all the creator, and I picture and I picture, and I don't have air when I picture because it's so wonderful what the nature show me.
Yeah, you've taken some amazing pictures, Yudit.
Thank you.
Yudit's on Facebook, by the way. If you want to see her work.
It's under the same name, Yudit on Facebook.
Yudit Baz.
You speak English very good. Were you raised speaking English, or you learned it as you grew up?
As I
Or
grew
were you
up,
born? You were born speaking English?
I learned through the YouTube because I swallow so much videos and I couldn't translate. So I just listen and listen and listen. And that's how, yeah. And you know, these children that you are talking about, it's me. I grew up in the street. I know these children. I know where they come from. I know. And our life become heaven if everybody get responsible for our life, our children, even if we are in the system, but we need to take responsible and try to find a solution to live in peace with the system. Otherwise, we are going to the desert. There is always a solution, and good creator was looking for a good solution. You see, thank you all.
Oh, thank you, Yudit.
Yeah, thank you, Yudit.
We sort of are in the desert though now. This is what it's like they sent us to boot camp and they didn't tell us. It's like a form of communism we're living in. Because there's all this subversion and they're funneling everything. They're telling you what to watch. I mean, just listen to the ads. They've got cancer after every other ad, or debt, or the news is all about dying and death. There's nothing nice, and the soap operas are all about families breaking up. And what are we watching? Do you watch the television? Because I don't watch the television anymore. Occasionally, once a week or something for 10 minutes.
No, I don't. I raised all my children in my household. No TV. There's been no television, not as in a restrictive way, but my living room is a library. I collect books. I've been collecting books for the last like 5 years. My children, they're able to watch what they want if they're able to navigate to it. Basically, if they go online and go to Netflix, or that's how they're able. But by them being raised without it, they never miss what they didn't have. And so now that when they have the chance to go watch or view what they want, they don't find interest in going at all. I have more complicated time getting my son off the video game, if anything. Other than that, my children are they're scholars. That they make me proud to say that they are. That they're not indoctrinated, but uh, they can combat the system, as in academia, wanting to know test scores, because really test scores is just handcuffs. They should do away with test scoring and just usher in the experience for the child. It'd be a lot easier, and it'd be a lot simplified. But not to take away from what I'm feeling from Yudit.
Yeah, you like that, didn't you?
Yeah. I can't even get my words together. I'm shook up. If I've ever been shook up from communicating on a
Yudit,
panel,
what
it's
have you
today.
done? What have you done, Yudit?
It's come from
Oh, well, that's brilliant then, isn't it? So you were meant to come on this hangout tonight.
Indeed.
Could I just ask you to explain a little bit more about this Stockholm syndrome then? Maybe that's the issue with egos that's going on.
Well, the Stockholm syndrome. it's the Stockholm syndrome. It's more geared toward just accepting what is. You know, like some would say that a revolt or a revolution or to rebel in a justifiable that can be justified, then one should do so. And the one that decides to say, I'm acknowledging that I must rebel in order to be treated equal, but I choose not to. I choose to just sustain myself under this oppression. That would be considered something like a Stockholm syndrome. Ego, it really doesn't really formulate with ego well, but it is something that happens to a lot of these adolescents and children inside their households or by their caregiver. They don't they're not raised and asking the questions like, why is this? How come is this? How come is that? You know, everything is not that. You know, what I mean, children are losing that adventurous mindset, and I feel like it's through Stockholm syndrome. I feel like Stockholm syndrome is something that a parent does to a child and may not know of, because it causes the child not to question the parent due to the child feel like I'm just a child. And really, they're really not just a child. That's it's really a soul in there.
You
So
said
allow your
about
children to
giving
talk
up.
freely.
You said it's about people give up.
They not necessarily give up. It's an acceptance. They accept they accept the inevitability. They accept it. It's like it's the best example to put would be slavery. You know what I mean? They would say at some point you have some who stood up and revolted, whether their life depended on it or not, and then you had some who considered themselves, you know, I'm okay with eating the slops and leftovers. I'm okay with doing outside. I'm okay with slavery as long as I'm comfortable and left alone. Some people just wanted to be left alone in their, and that's Stockholm syndrome. When you know it's not right, but you don't want to do anything about it, just accept it. That's Stockholm syndrome. I think it's spelled Stockholm syndrome.
Do you
It's
think
in
that's what a
abnormal
lot of
psychology.
people? Do you think that's what a lot of people are suffering today?
I couldn't say. I mean, that's I would be a fool to say what I to express what I think a lot of people may be suffering from. The best thing I can do is just try to improve what I feel seems distorted. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is about Yeti. I think what how do you pronounce the name? Yudit? Yudit. I think there was something in me that was distorted, and just by hearing her, fixed something. And so now I'm just eager to carry on. You know what I'm saying? But that's I think that's what it is. I think people have just to sometimes you just got to hear somebody else. You'd be surprised how it can just be a complete stranger that can totally change your frequency. I mean, it's sometimes it's unparalleled, but we need it. I needed this conversation.
Yes, we need each other.
Yeah, you've hit a different frequency with Yudit tonight.
Yes.
Oh, that's really good. I'm glad because Yudit is quite often on the panel. She's a really good friend to me and helps me, but she's usually quite quiet when she comes on. People, if they come in the chat room, don't hear Yudit speak very much, but she did today.
I'm glad that she did. I mean, I I can tell she's a woman with few words, but I'm somebody who's very analytical. So she didn't have to say too much in order for her to direct them towards me. I just needed to be attentive when she did, and I was. So I thank her for that.
Oh, there you go, Yudit.
Love you all.
Yes, and even if it's ego, it's a nice side of ego that can say thank you. We've forgotten those kind of words, haven't we?
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, you said caring, being nice to each
yes.
other,
Yes.
respectful.
It's helping
Do you
me.
think having children has changed your mind a lot, or do you think that you'd have always felt like this, or having the children has changed it all?
Children changed it periodically because it changed on its own. It's kind of like having somebody research flat Earth in order for them to have that, you know, what I mean, that sudden breakthrough. we can't force them. Like they would say, you can always lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. I like to add to that and say it depends on the journey that the horse is on. If the horse is taking a long journey, of course it's going to drink at the nearest well. And so children has caused me to look at my life after the fact I've aged. I had my children at a certain time in my life where it didn't matter. I guess care wasn't a part of me either. I'm not saying that I neglected my children, but the time span, the time I could have spent adequate time the right way instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to do this and that. You know what I mean? Like when children are growing up, that's the most precious time. I mean, because you can't get that time back once they become a certain age, and they do hold their parents accountable for time wasted. And when I got to a certain enlightenment, I should say, I guess a certain enlightenment to where it's like I didn't want certain things for my kids. That's when it started working for me. That's when my children started to reflect in my reality that this is how I have to carry myself in order for me to see their future. It's all about me seeing a child's future. That's what it's all about. If I can see what we're up against today, and we're able to see what they're going to be up against in their future, but if we don't target it in an appropriate manner, then they're just held to be guinea pig just like us. So my children changed
Oh,
me.
what lovely words
Yeah.
you're saying. I really like how you're explaining this.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It was at a time. It wasn't right when they came out, like in the emergency room. Oh, I just seen the placenta come out and all that, and it's just heartwarming. No, I had to grow up myself. Should I say? Self mastery is it does take it takes time. It's just not something. I've never met anyone who just knew how to conduct themselves appropriately. I'm learning. I'm learning it, and you guys are helping. You ladies are helping.
I think I had to learn as well. You know, some people are born to be Mother Earth, and some of us have to learn it. And
Right.
then, you know, like after, you know, I had 4 kids, 4, 3 are brothers and 1 daughter who's come along later. But like, you know, you have to be quite selfless to have children, and you only can do that if you know who you are. If you don't know who you are, then having children is just going to be a battle. I was just wondering, is this whole thing that you're in now something since you've become a flat earther, or this was happening before you in February?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
All this stuff you're talking about now, is this something that happened before February or after February? Like, what do flat earth as well mean to this whole thing for you?
It happened. This has all this awakening of mine has been occurring since I became a flat earther. Before I was a flat earther, like I mentioned, I was still into cognitive behavior, which is cognitive science, it's neuroscience. It's just psychoeducation. If you look up psychoeducation, it allows you to see that you're dealing with children or adolescents that come from, impoverished backgrounds or something like that. So it's psychoeducation, but this is what I was into before I was doing flat earth as well as dark physics. Now, when I made my entrance onto YouTube, it was accidental. I was watching my colleague do what he do, and I just said, you know what? Let me go ahead and I go and push the button and try. And I just pushed the button. I did a 2-minute video. I uploaded it. That was December 18th of last year. Here I am today. Although Flat Earth has intensified, I'm like a tuning. All of us are like tuning forks. I mentioned bone conduction because we're all like tuning forks. Flat Earth has given me a different tone. Now I'm able to see exactly why all the stuff that I went through and how come this didn't happen for me. I thought I was going to be a great basketball player. I thought I was going to be this engineer. I thought I was going to be a rapper. I had a lot of dreams that became nightmares. Some just never even came true. But then Flat Earth gave me this, like it was kind of like it was like this is what it's all been.
Yeah, 4. That's what I said to you.
Yeah. Like I've been
Oh,
like
this is
something's
what
been
it's all
waiting
for.
for this, and so now that Flat Earth is the way it is, I'm gonna be very honest. I utilize, I don't like to use the word use, it just sounds bad. So I utilize the flat earth model for its scholarship. It allows me to usher in the new curriculum to the child. We all know that when we begin to talk about flat earth and these concepts, it allows us to think with our imagination like a child, and that's how we know to our perception that it has to be real. You know what I'm saying? Before belief, it has to be real because it resonates with us this way. And so flat earth allows me to combat against, believe it or not, professors. I get to go against people who are in astronomy. I mean, all these school systems have teachers and professors that never in their lives have even heard of a flat earth concept. And so by it being told to them in a negative way or through the media, they'll never understand what they're missing. Flat earth has made it to where it's like I have an opportunity to be a real natural scholar without having to be indoctrinated by the school board. That's what flat earth has done for me. Some people hear me and be like, this man sounds educated, but I'm only self-educated. Flat earth has allowed me to say, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to question the affirmative. So that's what it's done for me.
Oh, well, very nice words. Yeah, I'm really pleased you woke up too and are able to help these children. And you seem a really nice guy, Dojo.
Eventually. I say eventually because some hear me now and be like, no, Karen, you got to watch his black ass, Karen, because he going to act a fool later. And perhaps, but I'm up against, we're all combating something that we know nothing of. I mean, it's strenuous. Sometimes I'm left alone. I'm deserted, and I don't hold people accountable for that. But I'm a wanderer.
You're happier because you learned something changed for you today, and something that Yudit said. So you learned something, or something changed for you, and it makes you happier because you were learning. And that's the bit that everybody should remember is if you're not learning, basically, I think you shrivel up and die. You're learning every day. And that's something else that people stop. That's what those kids have done. Those ones you were talking about, they've stopped. They're not learning.
Right. And what I've learned from her, I want to be like her.
It's remind you who you are. That's what it is. It's remind you who you are. And how powerful you are. And instead to feel yourself sorry and angry and sad and stuff like this, be the creator. Be the creator. Be in the position that you watch all the picture and you can get the solution and the good solution. So yeah, we forget that the power is in our hand. We can do whatever we want. We can be whatever we want. Yeah. Hey, shalom.
Yeah, Jamaicans joined us. Thanks, Yudit. In the nicest possible.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey. Yeah, I was just calling to make see if you were still live. I just got home. I finna get freshened up. Your boy went and got a haircut. You see, so I'm finna get freshened up, and then that way I can get my live stream set up. You still plan on being on live for at least an hour or so?
Well, we're talking right now, but in a sense, Dojo we've been going for nearly 3 hours. I don't know how much longer he wants to go on for. But we can go on a little bit longer if he's happy, because he's very interesting. He's a really nice guy. I'm so pleased I've met you.
I told you. I said I love talking to you.
You're definitely right. This has been like living manna. I mean, I haven't even felt the time. You got to think we came from Jamaicans, which was like 2 or 3 hours, and if I'm not mistaken, Karen said 2 or 3 hours here. It's living manna. I've learned a lot. In such a short period of time, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to you because, you know, the children is the most important thing because they're the next generation and it's how they're brought up.
Absolutely.
And so thank you so much for spending your time and helping these children. And I think you know, and I know, if children trust you, like, you know, I've worked in schools before, and then say this kid was sent out from the after school. But what it is the ages in the after school are sort of from 5 to 11, and the 11-year-olds are bored. I just say to this kid, like, what are you stuck out here for? No, 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 no. I say, well, if you keep that, because it's the way the teachers were shouting at them, I say, if you keep on doing that, then what's going to happen is your parents are going to come in, and then you're going to get more upset because your parents are going to get involved. So you've got some issues, sort the issues out. I don't know. And talking to kids like that, they listen to you.
It's an awesome feeling. I told him like, you know, your shows and stuff. It's like so much. I feel so much positivity when I step off. I feel so much positivity. I go to work the next day with just positive vibes running through me. You know, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get in here and hit. I'm gonna you know, get cleaned up for the night and stuff, and then, you know, if you're still going on, I can
Come
jump
back.
back on. Yeah, I can jump back on and crank on my live stream. You
Flat
know,
Earth hug for you.
or whatever.
Flat Earth hug for you, my darling.
Huh?
I said a flat Earth hug for you, my darling.
Thank you, thank you. We gonna do this, man. We gonna get it in. We gonna push this truth out, and I'm gonna use two platforms to help push your channel.
Oh, you're a real sweetie. Thank you so much. And
Not a
obviously,
problem.
you come on our panel and people get to know who you are as well. Jamaican Titan is his YouTube name.
Thank you, thank you. Well, yeah, that's my YouTube. That's my YouTube name. Everybody know, but y'all can also go subscribe. I ain't able to put the link in the chat, but if y'all could, that'd be awesome. My Science Academy channel. That's my channel. I'm gonna have to use for 90 days. You know, cause you know what happened to the Jamaican Titan channel. You know,
Oh God.
but it's all good. I was up cranking running within 24 to 48 hours after it happened. So you know, y'all can they can keep throwing stones at me, and I'm a launch concrete blocks back at them.
Yeah, just when you think you're getting somewhere, something happens.
It's cool. I mean, I don't know why they keep on trying to stop us. They keep losing the battle. A battle over battle. You can't even win a war if you can't even win a single battle. So they can continue to you know, critique my videos and push the idea that I'm working at Burger King, even though I'm making almost $20 an hour, that it's impossible to work at Burger King. And you know, I let them keep on pushing that fake bio I got on my Google on my Google profile. Yeah, so if y'all listening, y'all can keep on pushing that false information I got on my Google profile if it makes you sleep better at night. But coming to Karen's show, it makes me sleep better at night. But I'll be back. I'll be back in about 30 minutes.
Okay,
All right.
you're a sweetie.
Thank you.
I'm just putting your link in the chat room. Oh, he's gone, I think. Yeah, well, we don't know everything, do we? And like I say, we all should be growing and learning each day. When we don't learn and grow, then everything changes. Do you think with that ego thing is pretty nasty at the moment, though? The nasty side. Everybody's angry, agitated. Everybody thinks they're better than anybody else. I'm not saying us lot here, guys, by the way. I just mean generally. If you bump into someone in the street, you could always be having an argument.
Yes,
So, yeah, you're still there.
I'm still here.
You know, we've forgotten to care about each other, full stop, haven't we? Or care who we are, or be families.
If I guess they feel like caring is a submissive thing. maybe, you know what I mean, they don't see that caring has a, you know, there's acts of bravery that comes from caring, and courage comes from caring. You know what I'm saying? Care is lots of
But
stems from
I think
caring.
you see things differently, won't you? You know, like, I think if you're, without sounding horrible, a really egotistical person, crying doesn't come into it. They see that as weak. But I see that as a strong thing. I see it the other way around. And I'm not saying I want to see men cry. I just mean if a man can cry, at least he's in touch with himself.
Yeah.
It's a strong thing. It's not a weak thing. Do you see what I mean? How for one person it's a weak thing, but for me it's a stronger thing. At least that person can express themselves.
Yeah.
Not, maybe crying's not just the one. What can you do? Being able to.
I cry easy. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I guess it's the circumstance that causes, but it's something. You're right. I mean, crying is something like sometimes anger makes me cry. I mean, it's a vent for me. Sometimes I can cry from sorrowful things. I can cry from. I'm a crier. All right, I'm a man and I'm a crier, and I admit it.
But you know, don't you, like, if you're quite repressed, all that, then, and you don't think that crying is a good thing, then all that feeling just gets bottled up. Yeah, at least with crying you can release it. There's other ways to release it, I suppose. Maybe you just want to forget about it. But I don't know. I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say was that it depends who you are and what you see, doesn't it? Really, to what you believe as to one person that's weak, to another one that's a strong. I think that, you know, we should all be in touch with ourselves. Really, it'd be a much better place if we were.
Anger is connect to ego. It's connect to ego. It's the bad ego. Anger, because you are angry about yourself because you are not find a good solution, so you are angry more. So when people take a breathe, they breathe and they take a moment with themselves, they will find the solution. So yeah, we are the creator. We are. I teach my grandson how to speak with nature. So I teach him when it's raining and you need to do something. So ask the nature nicely if he can stop the rain for you for 1 minute, if it's okay with him, with the nature. So he did it. And he came to me and he said, Grandma, you know, I asked nature to stop raining and it stopped for me. And he was so smiley and happy that he speak with the nature. You see, if it's not a question of the believing, you know it, you know it, you know that every soul, it's energy. So you try to use the correct soul, the correct thinking. You are not allowed the thinking running in your hand like this without the permission. Oh, no, 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 no. I choose what to think. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. So no fear there, no sorrow, no, you know, forgiveness. It's really important for us, important for us to forgive and forget. Because when we are forget, there is nothing to forgive. There is nothing there. So we can continue very easy. So we don't need all these memories. We need to forget them and forgive them and continue. and create ourselves every day, and new ourselves. Yeah, this is the challenge because all this movie, it's around ourselves. And when we are changing, everything change outside. So it starts with us. And when we are angry and we put the finger outside, it's we didn't learn nothing. We need to put the finger to ourselves and looking for the change inside ourselves because we are there in this movie. So yeah, remember we are the creator and not need to be a slave. You can be your boss or your own and create your life every day, every minute. Choose what you want to be. Happy, sad, in neutral, only watch, get knowledge. Um, it's always in our hands. Almost, 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 always in our hands. Yeah, so yeah, think positive and yeah, it's two things. Are you come here to teach or are you come here to learn? Because if you are a teacher, you can't give yourself this luxus to be sad, angry, and all this stuff. We don't have this luxus. We need always to be a magic and find immediately the good solution and react with love, with our heart, and in a positive. Because matter,
Teachers and helpers.
it's everything. It's everything. So take the best from this and create the best.
That's
Yeah.
deep. Wow.
Even if we are talking about bad stuff, it's a bad vibration to the people who hear this. But when we are talking about the heart and about the good stuff and the good thing that we can do and the good solution that we can have, so it's create more good and more good and yeah, have a party. There is a show in TV. It's called the most tough parents in the world, and they take children about 18 years old. They are terrible children. They take them to these parents all over the world. They leave them 10 days there with these parents, and they go and they must live with these tough parents and be like a family there. And yeah, in the first day it's very difficult. In the second day it's difficult. But after 10 days, when these parents give them positive, 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 they're crying. They don't want to go back to the point they was there. They are new people. They become a new people, a new person after 10 days. Only positive food. Only positive food. Yeah. This is the liberation.
Um, how is it in your country when you speak the way you do here on the panel? Are you able to speak freely? Not freely, but are you able to? Are there people in your country that you're able to speak with like this?
Yes, I teach
Yes.
everywhere like this. Yes,
Nice.
yes.
You know, they don't give us
It's
here
not
enough.
mine. It's not mine, DOJO. It's come from the Creator. And if the Creator find ears to listen, so all this knowledge come out surely, easily. If there is ears to listen,
Right.
yeah.
It's immaturely. Learned a lot today. Might not appear like I have, but I have.
You make it happen because you give your ears to listen. And it's the same with me. I listen to you. I'm learning too. Yeah, this is our sharing knowledge. Thank you too. Thank you, Karen. I love you, Karen.
Oh, Yudit, I love you too.
I do too.
We love you too, DOJO. Yudit's been a really good friend to me. She's really helped me very much this last few months. She's a really good support, and yeah, she loves sun and moon. Don't you, Yudit?
I'm crazy about salmon because this is the most reality show that exists today in the YouTube. You currently inspire everybody to do this hangout. And for me, you are a hero. You are a hero because I can't do what you do, Karen. Only you. Only you can do what you do.
Yeah, but
And
thank
all
you so
this,
much. You're so lovely, Yudit. But look what you've done.
your stage, it's your stage, Karen. Petit. Thank you very much. I love you.
But look what you've done today. You've helped DOJO today. He's thought about something a bit differently.
Oh, we
You
are
did that.
brother. You are my brother.
Indeed, but you were persistent. You were persistent to have me on, Karen, and that's what caused me to have the encounter with Yudit.
Yeah.
So it all works out. I think that this is what it's. I'm sure that's the unification that can heal or change things for many of us. It's just not trying to anticipate or be the cause of the change, but just allow it to happen on its, you know what I mean, naturally, I guess, or on its own, instead of forcing it. So a Jamaican told me this was going to occur as well. He said you're going to go over there, and something's going to come over you, and you're going to feel like you're a different person. And I have to say that, but I should have known that because way back when, Sassy undeniably would speak high. She always speaks highly of sun and moon, and I never knew what that meant because it was sun and moon, and sometimes we're building, and when someone wants to give, uh, um, when someone wants to pay homage to sun and moon, and they say sun and moon, I'm concentrating so hard when they say sun and moon, I'm thinking they're actually talking about the sun and the moon. And so I really miss probably a lot of panels in which, like I mean it, though the timing is immaculate though, because I don't think this timing could have been adjusted to be perfect any other way. So, like I said, cheers to you, ladies, and I appreciate you.
Oh, well,
Thank you.
I heard you speaking the other day, didn't I? I was joining Jamaican's panel just for a little bit, and I stayed all afternoon. And you started talking, and I just thought, I want this man to come on Sun and Moon, because I liked how you. It was the way that you on that day you were saying about like this ego thing about getting back to respecting our egos, the whole thing, and I was like, wow. Probably just because of what's been happening lately, everybody moaning and groaning and all this stuff. and you were talking about this very thing, but in a different way. You know, like we've got to learn to respect ourselves, respect our egos, do things differently, train ourselves differently.
Right.
And I thought, wow.
That's why every time you hear in a video, it's an actual technique to make it appear that okay, it's aggravate. It's a mildly aggravating. That I'm mildly aggravating when I'm speaking or when I'm teaching. That's the whole purpose of 2018 and me finally having it, and especially today. Now that I've had this encounter with this panel, you know what I mean. It's not a difficult thing at all for me to have my utmost respect and conduct for myself, and let it reflect when I'm around, when I'm socializing. And so that's what I'm going to do from here on out. People may say that it's always this, it's that. It's not. It's what it is. It's growing. It's knowledge. It's awareness. It's consciousness. It's aware. I'm aware of today.
Yeah,
has been a long day for me.
We've had a bit of a connection tonight, haven't we? Conscious with our this consciousness.
And very far and very, very deep. I'm considered very low, and you ladies are considered very high. I'm considered from the slumps, and you ladies are considered more calm and subtle about your approaches. So I want you guys to understand that you're speaking with, even though I'm way over here, and Yudit is in Israel, and Karen is where you're at. We're covering a lot of distance by just our frequencies and the energies in between this conversation. That's how I feel. I mean, it's really difficult to imagine what it's like for you ladies where you're at, but obviously it's not that hard to imagine it to be on the panel with you ladies, because I mean,
yeah, I have to say, we're a research group, right, Dojo? But in it, I thought a few weeks ago, this has got to be about the people as well. It wasn't about the people. And there is going to be some ways where I kind of know differently about things now because of all this research. But it's got to be about the people. Without the people, there's nothing.
And that's model. Yeah. That's one of the,
I just feel that even though it's a research group, in a sense, like everybody we meet, even Sassy, I hope she comes back on soon because she's been quite busy. It's like a piece of a puzzle.
Right.
And then that bit goes into that bit, but it's not just one person or one thing. It's a myriad of many people. You know, like you're part of this puzzle.
Like one gigantic quilt.
Yeah, and then
one big quilt.
Bits that you're into overlap with someone else's work, and it just goes on and on and on like that. But I really love it. I love the fact that more people are communicating and coming together. And like Yudit said, so very nice words to me, but without her, it wouldn't be happening. See, so it's all of us. All of us coming together.
That's right.
And, you know, like a lot of people don't even like coming on panels, do they? They like listening, but they wouldn't come on the panel. So, you know, you're putting yourself out there a bit, aren't you, as well? So it's two things going on here. Remembering everything that you are. And then my thing when I was younger was talking too fast. I went and did a church reading and I read it too fast because I was nervous. You know, sometimes it's not, you know, a lot of people don't like even coming on the panels. Because obviously, like you say, I only met you. I've only met you the third time this evening, isn't it? And there you are. You're all the way over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, we've got a bond now, so it's great.
Right. That's exactly how I feel. And you're right. I tell them, public speaking is one of the biggest fears. It's like when you're knowing you're going to publicly speak, like the panels. When we join these panels, we know that it's on a social media platform, so the public, or should I say the audience in this fashion, can be anyone. And so it causes us fear resonates in the mind faster than logic does. And that's what causes fear to, consume the person, especially when it comes to public speaking. Logic is always later, that's why we get the concept of, man, I should have said that then, when we ponder upon the conversations we had when we leave them, because we know that something didn't settle in prior to it. And that's what Yudit's teaching has taught me today is as long as I take my time in a certain essence of communication, I'll be able to get more out with less with less craft. I don't have to be crafty with words in order to get my point across. And I'm learning that through Yudit. I appreciate that because she gets her. If you when you rewind this and you listen to it, everything she said is pretty much the same thing that I said before she came on the panel, and everything I said is pretty much the same thing she said, but she did it in a way to where it's like, oh man, everyone understood it. You would have to literally deliberately neglect not to listen to how she said it, and but it's true. I'm too wordy, and I appreciate this panel today because it lets me know I have to dilute my wordplay. I yield the floor.
Oh, well, I loved what Yudit said, and I loved what you said. You said it great.
Yes, Jojo. It's beautiful to listen to you.
I thought some of the things you said that really nicely, and I can like hear it in your voice. You've got a very calm voice, so that's good. I can hear it in your voice, your heart. I mean, your what do you call it? What's the word? Intentions.
That's right. That's why it's happened. That's why it's happened. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to thank you as well, Dojo.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. We need to talk more like this. People need this. People need to open the heart. People need to listen to the heart, to the soul, to something else beside materialism, beside phone, TV, the light vision. Yeah. So nature do this. Go out, everybody. Go out. Go out to the nature. All the answer come. All the answer will come. Out. Out, not in the house. Outside in the nature. Yeah. Yeah.
That is much easier said for you, though, Yudit. You have really nice weather to go out. It's pretty miserable here right now, but it's not an excuse because you can't change the weather.
That's right. It's not an excuse.
But I bet it's better fun going with you to the beach than it is going around here to sort of some sort of damp wood and it's cold.
You know what? Even if you have a small garden in your house or in your building downstairs, you can do many things. Grow up food with the children, teach them how to grow up tomatoes and use this use Mother Earth to grow up food and trees and enjoy this and yeah, it's connect to the heart. This is the charger. This is the charger. We charge the phone and we forget to charge ourselves. Where we can charge ourselves, if not from the nature. Yes.
Yeah, you're also a yoga teacher, aren't you?
Yes. Yoga, it's position of life. It's how you watch life. This is the meaning yoga. It's not the practice. It's not the practical. It's the position of life. How you live your life. This is yoga. Yeah. That's what I teach.
It's nice. Yoga is kinetics. Kinetics has something to do with the movement of the body, and that helps out with what they call the lymphatic system of the body. See, the lymphatic system, it runs parallel with the circulatory system. And what the lymphatic system does, it's a detoxifier. And without yoga, without the proper kinetics, even the simplest practitioner will say anybody with elder age should always keep yoga and keep movement, because kinetics allows the lymphatic system to excrete toxins out of our bodies through our lymph nodes. And that's the reason why perspirating is important. Um, Yudit is correct. Yoga is something that, I'll be honest with you, I need to start uh, practicing yoga myself. But kinetics has something to do with the movement of the body, and that's
Yeah,
connected to the lymphatic system.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there is people who doesn't live they don't like this yoga, so do meditation, because the meditation, it's the meaning of the meditation is be in the place of nothing, be in the place of nothing. No materialism, no family, no body, no nothing. Be in the position of nothing. Connect to the soul. If if our soul is, let's say, 1 gram and our body is 99, so leave this 99% and connect with this 1%, at least for 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And when you do this, connect with your breathing, because we breathe all day, but we are not breathe with meaning. And when you do this, when you breathe with your full attention, at least 2 minutes, 3 minutes, this is kind of meditation. So in this moment that you are in this nothing, you get so much knowledge and charger, incredible, incredible. And what it's made to the body, the body start working and clean itself from everything, from everything. So we don't do this. We are not connected to the breath, to ourselves. So how we can charge ourselves? You see, this 1 gram of soul, this is the power for the body and the life. This is the power. So if not yoga, meditation, this place to be in quiet place. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that's all. Start with this. And it's working. It's magic. It's magic for us.
I've done it more in meditation, in a group, protected group, and opening up your chakras and things like that. And in it, when you're in a sort of meditative state, you don't want to come back. She'll say, yeah, close your chakras up. Right, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to open your eyes. And everybody just sits there with their eyes closed and just doesn't want to leave that state, because it's peace.
It's good. I love it. Everything we do for our soul and for our quiet, at least 2 minutes, it's beautiful for our body and our life. It's incredible. Incredible. Yeah. Try it. Start. Yes.
Can I just say that we've been going now for over 3 hours now. Dojo, is there anything else you want to add today? Because I'm sure you're going to come back to the panel again.
No, ma'am. I'm really satisfied. I appreciate all the holistic endurance that you ladies have put up. I mean, 3 hours to talk for 3 hours. That's That's a lot.
You did most of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure, ladies. My pleasure. And
So
I
should
thank
we
each
end
and
this?
every one of you. Yeah, we can end it.
Should
It'll
we?
be good.
Yeah, we end this hangout, and then I'm asking you to come back soon. Just come back. You don't like tonight. I obviously asked you to talk about a certain thing, but come on the panel and get stuck into a conversation. You'll come back.
Oh, I sure will, and I appreciate you for the invitation. For
Oh no,
friendly
we
invitation.
appreciate you. Like, it's great
Yes.
your wisdom as well.
Thank you, Dojo. You make me speak, you know.
Yeah, there you go. You made Yudit speak.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're it.
Uh-huh.
Welcome now.
Is there anybody that knows Yudit? She says the odd thing. She says the odd thing, but she's usually quite quiet. Whereas tonight she said masses.
Oh yeah, she said,
I have,
touch my heart.
I
Touch my heart. You both have.
I'm coming back for a hug. I'm going to put my camera back on, and just have to wait for it to come on. Come on, camera. There you go. And
Karen, you are
thank you so much.
beautiful.
Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, so are you did. Anyway,
Thank you, did.
And you are, Dojo. Thank you very much for this hangout. It's been amazing. A very spiritual evening and a very non-egotistical evening.
It has been.
Anyway, we're going to end the hangout now. Thank you so much, Dojo, Yudit, and the other people that came on and went off. On Thursday with Aaron and his Lumin project. See you Thursday.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, Flat Earth hugs.
Flat Earth hugs.
Flat Earth for everybody. We have to have a hug on our channel. Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
And see you Thursday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.